Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 167 with your host, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, and Johnny V. And I was asked today, are we going to dress up? And
I debated it, but even right before this started, I looked in that closet back there. I'm like, do I have any old costumes I can throw on or anything? And I really didn't. The last costume I had was like a Batman costume from probably 12 years ago. It didn't fit me then. It's not going to fit me now.
I would think you've trimmed down, no?
Not so much, no. But
Okay, well, here we are. It is, of course, Halloween night, October 31st, 2017. And things of note tonight, what are my weekly timestamps?
Game 6 of the World Series.
Exactly. That's what I was going to start with. Game 6. I think it was just a week ago. Game 1 had started. So we had started off the 2017 World Series, the Astros and the Dodgers. And it's been a pretty exciting and pretty crazy World Series.
Some people are calling this the best World Series in history because of the number of back and forths and the home runs. And a lot of people are saying the ball is juiced this year, that maybe there's a little bit different
slickness.
Actually, like the stitching might be a little different this year because they're getting them from a different location. And it's all sorts of craziness because there's been more home runs this year than in a long time. But this World Series is really, really exciting.
Well, that's I haven't partaken of too much of it myself. I just know that it's been going on. And funny you say that because I heard something about how slick the ball was, something to do with the logo being on it and some kind of ink or print or something. So it's funny, we've heard two slightly
I wonder if that's just
stories.
Specifically for the World Series because of the ink?
That's what I had heard.
And I'm talking about like throughout the whole year, they're talking about maybe how the stitching might be a little tighter. So hence the ball is just a hair smaller, the friction and more home runs and all this crazy stuff. I read this big article about it.
Well, either way, right now we've got Houston Astros leading the series 3-2, and they're in Game 6. So that's something in the news, and then also in the news on a less ideal or a little less uplifting. It sounds like there was some form of attack in New York City today, possibly related to ISIS, possibly not. I'm not going to get into all that. There was some form of attack that took place near the World Trade Center today, and that is the weekly timestamp.
All right.
Moving on, we're going to have Dana Vicich, joining us here in just a few moments. Also tonight, we're already talking about 2018, and I know it's just about 60 days around the corner from us overall, 2018 that is. But we're going to have Keith Murray. He's your head TD over at the 2018 Memorial Championships presented by Discraft. So we'll have him joining us, and spoiler alert, registration for that event opens tomorrow. So I know there's been a little hubbub about it. We'll get some details from him. There's some changes, some pretty significant changes. So that's going to be my tease for now. But a major announcement is coming by Keith here, actually, when he joins us in about 40 or so minutes. So look for that. But first, let's get to Dynamite.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dynamite.
He's a Danicorn.
Wow. This makes me think of the candy corn? Yay or nay? Quick straw poll. Candy corn, yes or no? Johnny?
Yes.
Okay. Dana?
Yeah.
Dana's a no on the candy corn. And although it's been years since I've had any, I'd vote yes. So you're outvoted, Dana. 2-1. Candy corn is in.
See, there's a few things that are good about candy. Candy corn is good in like really small doses.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to eat a lot of it, but every year when you have it, you kind of got to stick it on your teeth like a vampire at least once. Like one on each kind of incisor, you're good to go. And then kind of, and then you're done. That's about as much candy corn as you need.
I've never done that. No joke. I have never done that.
Yeah.
I haven't.
That makes two of us, Terry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
All right. So Ronald, one of our biggest smash. He says candy corn sucks. You're still upvoted, Ronald. We're the 3 tonight. All right, Dana. Well, you look great. You've got a great message. That's the best you could come up with on the whiteboard. You're a teacher. Your wife is a teacher going for a master. That's the most clever you could come up with on the whiteboard? I think that should be sponsored by someone every week. Now, there's an idea.
Ooh, there we go. If you're tired of seeing my soft messages up on the board, like yo, 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 or I can't remember what else I had, step inside the, maybe you can sponsor it, for $2-3 a week.
2 or 3, but
more.
New connection a week. Yeah.
Dana, here's what I'm going to do for us. Like we did last week, I'm going to cut our video to you, but you're still going to see us, just so you have all the things. Now, this will be hopefully the last week where you really have to worry about any connections. I officially ordered you a new Wi-Fi router. We're going to be all set up. You're going to be, everyone can still see you, Dana, so don't go taking off your shirt or anything. But we ordered you a new Wi-Fi router. Oh. It'll be in the mail. It'll be your house by Thursday. We'll be good to go, so we can make sure that you have the premium internet connection at your house. You'll get internet from the tippy top of your attic to the very bottom of your basement.
Hopefully. That's assuming, who do you have, Charter down there?
No, Comcast.
Comcast? Hopefully they'll at least provide basic service to you, and then from there, we hope that your new router will be able to handle it. So hoping we're going to see Dana in higher def, HD Dana. Everybody loves that, starting next week. So thanks for joining us. We know things are slowing down. As I just mentioned when we opened the show, we're going to have Keith already talking about 2018. But what are we still seeing here in 2017? There's still events going on. I know there's some bigger events going on this weekend. One in Oklahoma. Matt House reached out to me recently. I know I'm going to Phoenix to cover the Phoenix Ladies Open. So there's still events going on. But what did you see going on this last weekend?
First, I got to give a shout out to Billy Jack O'Toole. Boy, that's he said that he would sponsor the old chalkboard if I wrote 4-putt on it. I think referencing my 4-putt to the Disc Golf Pro Tour finals. So that is pretty funny. I kind of forgot about it, but thank you.
We won't let you forget, Dana. Not for a while.
Kind of twisted it a little bit, but hey, I made the finals. You didn't, Billy Jack O'Toole. So yeah,
Good
and the salmon shirt. It's a shirt. You'd know if I didn't have a shirt on. But yeah, Johnny was saying things are slowing down, but don't forget about our boy Spike Heiser. Just when you think things are slowing down, that's when he steps up. And he stepped up this last weekend. He ran the 32nd Sneaky Pete Classic. And that was presented by Innova with a special thanks to Burlington Parks. That was in Burlington, North Carolina. 165 total players. We had some big regional names there. Barry Schultz, MJ, Lance Brown, Cam Todd was there. Dan Hastings down from New York. I'm not sure if he relocated because that kind of strange. Dan's from Buffalo, New York. But anyways, apparently it was quite the battle between MJ, Barry, and Lance. And down the stretch, I think MJ played the last 9 holes at 10 under. And he won by 1 throw over Barry with that final round of a 49-10-42 rated round. Got himself a $500 payday. Barry did finish in second. And then Lance Brown a few throws behind Barry. Nice shooting, MJ. Barry, Lance, very, very nice shooting as well. There were no women, so I will give a shout out to the Masters winner, Matthew Halton Smith. He took down Brian McRae by a few throws. Got Disc Golf Rich, won $300. Nice work there. There was an 8-tier last weekend though. Over in Oklahoma at the Oklahoma Open. Have you guys played in Oklahoma before?
Never.
The closest I got to playing was marshalling in 2006 for the AM Worlds. I saw a few of the courses, and I know a few, obviously, of the legends around there. But no, I don't think I've ever actually competed in Oklahoma.
What notable disc was the big fundraiser that year? '06 Worlds Tulsa, Terry. This is an easy one.
Yeah, Tulsa Special Blend Orc was definitely the big one at the time.
Exactly. I think they came out in red. This was the first we saw of what is now called Star Plastic. It's called Special Blend. I think it came out in red, white, and blue. A couple different stamps, but those Special Blend Orcs are pretty sweet. I think I actually have a few stashed away. I'm sure Terry's probably got a big old stack of them somewhere.
Yes, I definitely do. I remember selling a handful of them, but then holding on to quite a few. And I think to this day, like most of my other collection, I think to this day, if I needed to ever cash those in, they would cash out for a pretty penny. No, I wonder what those are going for these days, but I can't imagine that they've declined or depleted or gone down in value anytime recently.
Yeah, I don't think they're $100 bill, but they're closer to 100 than 50.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. But
who plays the stocks when you can play the disc golf collecting game?
Exactly. Yeah. If you're a retailer, you can definitely make some money. Oklahoma Open. It was a Pro A tier B tier 4 AMs and 181 total players, so quite a few players out there. I believe they just were playing Red Hawk, Black Hawk courses. I could be wrong. Someone on the board wants to correct me, but basically just about going wire to wire. I know he came out with a hot first round was Bo Tillman, Oklahoma native. Lives in Edmond, Oklahoma, but he came out with a 1050 rated first round in the early lead over Billy Lund. Got SmashBoxx famous a few years ago with his GBO ace. But from there, it wasn't just smooth sailing to the finish line for old Bo Tillman. He had to fight off Devin Owens, Kevin Jones, who shot a really hot second round. Kevin shot a 47, 1043 rated. To pop himself actually into the lead or tied. Yeah, actually, he was in the lead by one stick going into the final round. And then Bo held on to beat both Devin and Kevin Jones by one throw. Coda Hatfield, who we're starting to see out there playing a lot more this year, finished 2 strokes off the lead, tied with Paul Ulibarri. And other notables in the field, all tied for 9th place. Bradley Williams coming off a big win the previous week. Avery Jenkins and Colton Montgomery. Greg Barsby also in attendance, snatched up last cash. I know Greg he's been hitting up, doing a bunch of clinics and lessons on his way heading west, and he'll probably be in a town near you if you're anywhere between California and Oklahoma right now. So keep an eye on Greg Barsby's social media. On the women's side, saw pretty strong women's field. We had 3 players rated over 900. Melody Weibel at 923, Courtney McCoy 918, and Lisa Ficus at 938. And Lisa came out and had a really strong start, 947 rated first round, and continued her strong play from there, coasting to a 7-throw win over Courtney McCoy. Lisa was able to win $450. And then Ron Converse, this guy age at all?
No.
He actually shot 36 under par playing the same course and same tees as the Open Division. So that would have, by my math, that would have put him in first place. As I talk about quite a bit here, I personally think it's different when you're playing in the Masters Division versus the Open Division. But nonetheless, he went 1040, 1023, 1027, won himself $600. And Ron has had really a heck of a year. He's won a number of Masters events. He won the Grand Masters, PDGA, Pro Master Worlds, and then he also won the Tim Selensky U.S. Masters in the Grandmaster division. So shout out to Ron. He's a legend, and he keeps winning and winning, and yeah, doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon.
I keep thinking back to Ron Conver's, we'll say circa 2006 Players Cup. I think he went toe-to-toe with Barry Schultz, maybe even took him down in a playoff on the first hole. If I'm thinking about I was not there. It was in Florida at the Plantation course. Mike Barnett may have been the TD, somewhere around there. And I remember thinking, like, who's this Ron Converse guy, and why is he beating the best, some of the best in the world, and just how good is he? And I think that's right around that time frame. I'm sure someone could correct me, but here we are, fast forward. Sure, he on any given weekend plays and wins in one of the age-protected divisions, but he's also not shy when it's appropriate to go play in an open division as well. And I feel like he just, as you said, he never ages. He is always good. He's obviously a very good win player, and he's a good player overall, but you add in the wind, and he seemingly is right at home, and he's just so solid. Hats off to him. He's just an amazing competitor. Oh, and Joe on the board is saying that was Barry maybe wanted that year, 2005 or so. So somewhere in that time frame, but that's when I remember, I think, first hearing his name, thinking, who? And again, with us not traveling to that part of the country, being down in that Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas area, not traveling there. I'm sure if we lived down there, we would have known about him many years prior. But fast forward all these years, and he's as household of a name as I think he should be, given that he's 50-ish. We'll say 51, 52, or wherever, somewhere in that neighborhood. Just a solid player.
Yeah, most definitely. Nice guy. Actually, he gave me a little putting lesson probably 3 years ago at the GBO. A bunch of us were hanging out putting, and he saw I was struggling, surprise, surprise, and gave me some tips. But
I was going to say, where was he about 10 days ago?
Known fact. It's not bad internet. This is just me pausing, taking a deep breath. So
only because we love you can we give you such a hard time. Most people we wouldn't do that to.
As I was saying, 10 years ago, I actually went down and played the Oklahoma Open with my friend Dustin Fee, and I played Open. I just moved up, and I averaged 1,000 for the weekend. It was the first time I ever did that in the pro division. It was over 4 rounds on 4 different courses. Pretty big moment for me. It's hard to believe, looking at it now, that it is 2017 right now, right?
For now.
Yeah, it's 2017. So it's 10 years ago. I actually cashed in all my change to go down to that event.
Nice. So this weekend, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I know they're still in Oklahoma. That's where I was going to go with this. Matt House had reached out to me. He's running, or at least part of the A-tier that's taking place Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He named some of the names you just said. Avery Jenkins, I know he said, and Greg Barsby and a handful of the others. It looks like they've, just great timing for those that are still diehard enough to be on the road or still playing and traveling through. Like you said, people are kind of sprawling out to their own respective homes or parts of the country, and this Oklahoma maybe is just, a perfectly timed location.
Yeah, definitely. Back to back. A-tiers is got to be nice for these guys that are. I can't, like AJ Risley. I think he took this weekend off, but he's still playing events. He's been playing since February. It's pretty insane. Avery, he's had a quiet year. I don't even know if he'll even be close to 10 events, but he's living in Oklahoma, and to get a couple late season A-tiers in is pretty cool. And then obviously we've got Barsby and Yulee making their way back to the West Coast, or back west, maybe to Arizona in Paul's case. But yeah, nice little couple weeks in Oklahoma. Hopefully, they have some good weather. I don't know what kind of weather they have right now. Probably warmer than here.
I know that looking forward to this weekend, I was seeing that there should be some good weather out in Arizona. I was just looking at in the 80s, and we see some of the, speaking of women's divisions, I see that both Katrina, Sarah Hokum registered for Phoenix as they're venturing west as well. So it'll be interesting to see where everyone goes and then what the weather is like when they get there. I think it's, the San Diego team tournament, that doesn't take place for about another month or so, but having it out there where it's nice year round seems to work out pretty well. We'll see as everyone goes in again their ways. I know next weekend there's the 11th or so. That weekend there's a big event in Knoxville. So as people are traveling around, I'm interested to see like who hunkers down where, because wasn't it just last weekend there were a bunch of players, or no, it's this upcoming weekend. There's a notable field taking place in Virginia. Paul Macbeth, obviously, who's living in that area, but I feel like there was a handful of others that are registered for that event. So there's going to be a little bit of star power there coming up this weekend as well. So the year's not over, dare we say. We won't let it die.
Yeah, that's the Fall Colors A tier.
Yeah.
In up in Virginia.
Correct.
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's been an A tier in the past. If it has, I think it's been maybe only a year or two being an A tier, but it's a long running event. Yeah, this is the 20th annual coming up here. It's in Williamsburg, Virginia. And it's looks like 27 players signed up, and we got Macbeth, Dickerson, Michael Johansson, James Conrad, Andrew Fish, Colin Carter, a name that this guy's 10-16 rated. I'm trying to think if have we ever talked about Colin Carter on here?
I don't
He's
think
from
we have.
Holly Springs, North Carolina. Wow. Well, he's played quite a few events this year. Boy, he's won. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've had to have dropped his name at least a few times. He's got a bunch of wins in North Carolina. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got about a dozen wins in North Carolina. He's 10-16 rated. Kind of flying under the SmashBoxx radar, I guess. But he's also signed up, and man, he's won just $1,000 this year. So not too bad. He actually started the year out playing. Or no, those are just. All right, it looks like he's in college because he does have some advanced events under his belt, but those are all collegiate events. So, wow, that's definitely another major player in North Carolina to deal with to add to their already number of great players. But yeah, he's 10-16 rated, and who else we got? Stephen Miller, 10-15 rated. He's a great Virginia player. And then Cody Bradshaw. So that's a number of 1,000 rated players there in Virginia. And then actually at the Buffalo Run, I think half the field might be 1,000 rated or higher. There's 17 open players. And there's nine players rated 1,001 or higher. So what that tells me is likely someone 1,000 rated is not going to be cashing in Oklahoma unless they get an influx of players to sign up for that open division.
Well, it's going to be very, very competitive, I think is safe to say, at that event. And I'll be interested to see how it all shakes out. I think it's taking place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, Matt House recently reached out to me and talked about some form of coverage or something, trying to work something out. Unfortunately, he got at me a little late, and I'm fully committed to heading to Phoenix, which I'm really excited to cover the women's event in Phoenix, probably with slightly warmer weather. But good luck to their event. Excited to see how things pan out over there. Dana, let's real quick. I was going to say you've got a very popular doubles event taking place this weekend. Couple days.
Yeah,
Illinois State doubles all sold out.
Illinois State. Yep, it's been sold out for probably a month or longer right now. So yeah, it generally does sell out, but this is the fastest. We did limit the field a little bit just to guarantee everybody a golf cart Pine Hills is a golf course, and it's a place where I set up a temporary disc golf course from usually October through March or April. So try to run a handful of events during that time period, and Illinois State Doubles usually kicks that off, kicks that fall season, fall into winter, disc golf out up there. So yeah, got a strong field of players. Got a big player pack. The AMs, everyone's getting this custom Discmania stamp disc. Miles at Paragon helped with some sweet hoodies, and then also every amateur player is getting a UDisc 1-year pro membership.
What?
Which I think is really cool. So yeah, UDisc they keep getting better and better, and I think the more people that support UDisc and use it, the better UDisc is going to get. So doing my part and getting memberships for every amateur player.
That's awesome. And not to well, I'm going to piggyback on that. Just before the show tonight, Matt from UDisc had reached out to me as well. He knows that the Cold Turkey is coming up in about a month, and we talked about a similar idea. I think everyone that plays in the Cold Turkey is going to have their opportunity to get a free UDisc pro membership as well. So as long as you're in Illinois or playing the Cold Turkey a few weeks later, one way or another, you may get some sweet action on that UDisc app coming your way with all the good stuff that comes along with having the pro membership. So I'd like to piggyback and say thank you to UDisc.
Yeah, definitely. They're crushing it right now, and if you're not playing in Terry or my event, you can always just purchase a UDisc membership. Tons of cool things on there. Measure your long throws, obviously keep score, and track your stats and all that. Very easy to use, and a course directory on there as well. Makes it easy to find a course when you're out and about. So make sure you hit up UDisc, and obviously. If you followed the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which I'm assuming most of you 80 or 100 that are out there watching now know about UDisc Live. They crushed it this year and just keep getting better and better.
Yes, and someone's clarifying on the board that UDisc, there is a free version of the app that's available to everyone. It gets you, of course, a certain amount of features. The Pro version gets you more features along with your own special space to save stuff, and
cloud-based.
And be able to do a lot more things with it. But they have a free version. You're always welcome and able to use that. However, the $5 Pro version also then gets you a bunch of additional things on top of it. And I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sure Matt from UDisc could even post some of those great added benefits. But
go pro or go home.
Exactly. And I feel like, and I think we can all say this, with what we've seen from the Pro Tour, from what we've seen them offer for free, for goodness sakes, throw the guys $5. Like, yeah, even if you didn't get a membership of any kind, obviously, we just think they're so valuable, and we'd love to see them continue to grow and thrive and succeed. Matt over at UDisc has committed full-time, actually, he has recently quit his full-time gig just to pursue the endeavors of UDisc. And if that's not heart and soul and dedication or stupidity, if it's not all of those things, though, like it's worth going out there. $5, we all know it. That's one of your that's sometimes less than one of the fancy beers for beer snobs like Dana. So go out, give them $5 and support what they're doing. Is that a fair way to put it, Dana?
Yeah, definitely. And I resent that beer snob statement. I like cheap beer too. So
okay, well, I know I can't make too many beer statements without everybody ripping on me, because the rare times I drink beer, I'm perfectly fine with having a Bud Light, and with that, the whole board can light up with everybody telling me how it's basically water. But anyway, Dana, the other conversation, which we won't dive too much into, I think it's going to continue to unfold. I had a brief little moment with our boys over at Disc Golf Answer Man. They called me in for a special question or two earlier today, and that will release tomorrow. But one of the things that I mentioned there, and that's going to be unfolding story for the next month and a half, are the shifts. What we're going to see for shifts for players, where are players going, what's the chatter out there, who's making a move, who's not. And I'm going to say, as I relayed to them, I feel like, and you're in the know probably more than I am. I feel like this is going to be a very subtle year. I don't know of any major developments taking place. Maybe you do, but do you think there's going to be any major transitions by significant? I don't want to say significant players, by major players in our game.
I think so. I think there's going to be at least one major move that might catch people by surprise. There'll be some obviously some people shuffling around, making their way to and from different sponsors. But in mentioning dynamic discs, I feel like they have to be. I'm assuming, this is my assumption, that they're looking for. They've got the biggest name, the best female disc golfer, Paige Pierce. But on the men's side, they're, with Eric McCabe not playing as much, they don't have that. They have some elite players, but they don't have that 1030, 1040 plus rated player. So
not many of those.
Maybe there's someone to go out. What's that?
There's not many of those 1030 plus rated players. I mean, there's what, 5 of them in the world? Everyone else is 1030 and below?
And then a couple near 1050, 2 of them.
We'll say 1025 and higher. 1020 plus rated player. I don't know if I don't believe Dynamic Disc has one of those right now. But on the men's side, I would have to imagine that they would love to have another one of those type of players on the men's side. Obviously, they've got, as I said, Paige. She's crushing it. On the women's side, had an incredible year. And so I could see a big name heading that way. Don't ask me who, but that's kind of one that's out there. And then, Latitude 64 always seems to pick up a few players every year. They seem to have a pretty lucrative deal for even the 1010 to maybe the 1000 to 1020 rated player. So maybe that's probably where most of the shifts that we'll see will come from is in that 1000 rated to 1020 rated player. But yeah, my guess is that DD makes the biggest splash in the off season.
Excuse me. Well, I'm just real quickly, I pulled up the world rankings, and it says July 2017 for men, of the world rankings, and just scrolling down that, Wysocki, I don't think he's going anywhere. Lazat is with Discmania, Macbeth, KJ. I don't see KJ.
I don't know. KJ could move.
He could.
I'm just saying.
How big a news would that be? And that's no disrespect to KJ, because obviously he is a phenomenal player.
It would be big overseas. It would be a little less
impactful
big on
here.
this side.
Yes.
And I'm just saying there are certain people that we know are locked and loaded into their
Nate
sponsor.
Doss, Nate Sexton, Jeremy Coling.
I think they're all locked, but I would say KJ isn't as locked.
Okay, which is nothing more than speculation. On Johnny V's side. Josh Anthon, I think you're going to see him in an official capacity be on Innova's roster.
I think so.
Josh isn't going to throw anything else. He's made that very clear, if not to others, at least to me. He's not interested, I think, in picking up. He's not seeking out any other sponsors. I think if something works with Innova, it could get locked in. I don't see that. He's not searching out anyone else. Manabu, I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting a few years ago to see him move from Innova over to Prodigy, but we don't see him enough to necessarily know. MJ seems to be very happy. He's got a disc with Discraft. Matt Oram has been, with Latitude. Kale isn't going anywhere. Eagle McMahon, I can't imagine. Chris Dickerson with Prodigy. Cam Colglazer. So that rounds out your top 15.
Yeah.
I feel like there's very little. There's a few, I think, that maybe are up for question. And then real quickly on the women's side, Paige Pierce is clearly not going anywhere. There's a lot of talk. A lot of people keep saying that they think or they want to know when Katrina's contract is up. Somebody just said, I wish she would move, whatever the case may be. I just said on the board, I'd bet money on it. She's not going anywhere.
I think she's happy with what she has.
I think she loves what she has. She's the top-rated woman on that team. It seems like they treat her very well. She's part of the core original team members. I just don't see that happening at all. You've got Sarah Holcomb, who's been with Legacy now for a couple years. Val, obviously, with her transition over to Discraft recently. Jessica's with Innova. Hannah Leatherman, Innova. Lisa, it seems to be very happy where she's been with Innova. Jennifer Allen has been rewarded, but with a few things from Innova. Ragna, we don't see her that often, but I don't know if she's out seeking any other relationship besides.
Member,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Was she? I believe maybe
I think
with
she
Prodigy. And then Sophie Sandstrom, Evelina, Karina, Yuki, Nicole Bradley, and Melody Wabel. So, obviously, what do we know? Anything could happen.
We've got like
anything
2
could
months
unfold.
to speculate.
So.
Exactly.
I would say on the women's side, maybe speculation Holcomb. I could see that happening. She's been with Legacy for a couple years now. Maybe that's one where we see some movement. But it seems like most of the other, those top 5, 6, 7 women's seemingly on the outside are pretty locked up. But we've seen a couple Holcomb discs from Legacy, so they're providing support. So that could be a toss up on the women. I'm seeing on the men's, people talking on the board on the men's side about Dickerson. Pretty sure Dickerson is still under contract through next year with Prodigy. Conrad, that's an interesting one to bring up. I wonder what kind of does Chris Conrad have a tour disc from Innova?
I don't believe that James does.
Because if he doesn't, I'm sorry, yeah,
oh,
James
right.
Conrad.
I knew what you
James
meant.
Conrad.
Well, I would say if he doesn't,
does he have a? He definitely needs to if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Correct. I think after this year, from what he's done, one of 2 things is going to happen. He's either leaving Innova, or Innova's going to, we'll say, quote unquote, pay him with a disc. We'll say a tour fundraiser like they're doing with like Brinster and Philo. It's going to be one of those 2 things, and I don't see him. He seems like a guy that's pretty happy with what he has. He loves his putter, and I know it's a very key point in his game.
Yeah. So, however, if somebody really wanted to speculate,
I
was going to say, if anyone wanted to speculate, he travels with and is on the road and friends with, I think, well, he's friends with everybody, but I think of some of his core people. He hangs with, a Peter McBride, who's Legacy. He hangs with Paige Pierce, who's DD. He hangs with Madison, who's Innova. All these various people that you see him, and then you're Dustin Keegan, who's Innova. Then you see Oakley and Tina Stenitis, who's, DD. So I don't know if you can just go by association, but I feel like DD would be the next logical play if he were not to stay with Innova. Is that a fair stretch?
I think so. I mean, that goes with my kind of assumption or my guess that DD is going to sign a big player, a big time player, and James Conrad is definitely a big time player. He's not 1030 yet, but he has had a heck of a year and incredible player, good guy to on and off the course. So would fit in well with Dynamic Disc. So, just purely speculating, maybe that's a big off-season target. He's been on lead cards, won some big event, and maybe he could be that face that new face, I should say, on the men's side of Dynamic Disc.
Quite possibly. I mean, anything.
Yeah, I like Conrad. I think he's a great player, and he deserves what he's getting. He just doesn't seem like the type of player where he's out to make a splash. Like, he doesn't seem like he's like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be the face of a company, I'm going to be that guy. And maybe I don't know him well enough, maybe he is. He just seems more reserved, very happy playing, not so much that outward speaking, go get him kind of guy.
Well, and to maybe further your point, as we joked about him not being able to join us after 1 or 2 of his big wins this year, as I said to Paige, I said, do you know where James is? And she said, yeah, he's camping with us this week or whatever. I said he's not a big Facebook guy, and he doesn't do a lot of that real heavy social media posting that we see from some of our other players. And I think I said he's more like the kind of guy that seems just to go out and live his life rather than getting stuck, get hung up on Facebook. And that's nothing short of a compliment. That's exactly how that was meant. I feel like he takes it all in. I feel like him and Peter McBride are focused on living life to the fullest extent and not getting caught up in stupid Facebook drama or caring if your cell phone's even charged or not. They very much have that very free spirit about them, which is very admirable on any given day. So,
by the way, Peter is active on Instagram. I would suggest if you guys are on Instagram, Peter's got a pretty good Instagram page going. He is Peter_M805. He's Peter's a pretty cool kid. And actually, his mom came out to the Pro Tour final event in Florida, and they were road tripping. So I thought that was pretty cool. He's young. He just turned 21 this summer, but interesting person to follow on Instagram. Might not see him post a lot on Facebook, but he keeps Instagram posted up with some cool pictures and neat insights from the road. So
yes, very much so.
Sorry for the little side note there.
No, you're right. I very much have always been caught up in Facebook and sometimes neglect a lot of our other more popular social media outlets, and I tend to rely too heavily on Facebook. You're right. There is some great stuff out there by Peter on his Instagram account. Make sure you check that out. And so with that, again, nothing more than speculation. I think it's just going to be a conversation piece. What excites me most about this is 2 or 4 or 8 years ago, we didn't have podcasts and things to necessarily even speculate on, or as much of a platform to do it, and B, it wasn't as common, and C, it didn't seem to mean as much as it does now as contracts get contracts and discs.
I completely disagree with that sentiment. I think 8 years ago when a player moved, it was a much bigger deal. Like, think of
but it was so rare.
It was exactly, which I think which made it a bigger deal. I mean, think of when Juliana moved from Discraft, but that was kind of a big deal at the time, and we saw some of that in the past. Now, things are a little bit more fluid, I believe.
Well, we'll see. Dana, new year, you've got to have at least 1 or 2 new sponsors, right?
We didn't say different. We said new.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty. Excuse me. I'm pretty happy where I'm at, and as far as I understand, they're happy with where I'm at as well. So don't expect any big announcements coming from me. So that'll be 3 years in a row throwing the same disc. I'm excited for that and grateful, I should say.
Wow. And Johnny Bigfoot, there was a quick side note to AJ Risley, the disc golf boy, as he has pushed himself to where he has with his skill sets. We'll see if this new, his establishing himself is going to provide him maybe with any other opportunities. If he wants to remain where he's been with Legacy, who have really believed in him and treated him well from day one, from everything that I understand. So, but he's a guy that his stock is rising.
I hope,
and it'll be interesting to see if there's offers that come in, and how those get countered.
I know it sounds silly, but I hope he stays with Legacy. I hope that whatever he's offered from someone else is either matched, if he's even offered anything from something else. But I hope he stays with Legacy. There's something about AJ and Legacy that kind of go hand in hand, and I think that he's a very good person for that brand.
I totally agree. So it'll be interesting to see. Seth Fenley from the Disc Golf Pro Tour social media thinks that Waffle House should pick him up.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
Why not? That would be great if they could. All right, Dana, we've got some big news. So I'll give you one guess. If we've got major news coming from the Memorial, and I'm not gonna tell you if you're right or wrong, but if there's major news coming from the Memorial and Keith Murray in just a few minutes, do you want to take a stab as to what this news announcement could be, other than the fact that registration opens tomorrow for it?
I'm gonna guess they landed a big time sponsor, some sort of sponsor, a big one, like huge,
Like
so
Waste
huge,
Management out of Phoenix. Like Waste Management out of Phoenix, maybe, right?
Yeah, that's my call. Thank you.
Okay. That sounds like a very valid possibility.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We're
So,
you know what? I think I'm going to stay up for this one, guys. I'm interested. I'm interested to find out. And you know what? Ashley's going to be on maternity leave during the memorial. So maybe family vacation. I sneak in a tournament, get some pro tour points in early in the season. So this has some impact on me. So thank you for having me. Happy Halloween to everybody out there. Hopefully you handed out a lot of candy or got some candy, and yeah, don't four-putt. Cheers.
all right. Have a good night, Dana.
Thanks, Dana.
And the beautiful unicorn Dynamite joining us here. Thank you for the insights of this last weekend, a little bit of recap. And I'm going to read off the board a couple of suggestions or guesses, we'll say. I think that's a good word, that came in. Carver says it's going to be a Disc Golf World Tour event. Disc Golf Nerd suggests maybe new Discraft baskets to debut.
That could be cool.
Jordan Hicks says no Fiesta. That should be the first question. James Conrad turns water into fountain, into wine fountain. That
would be pretty awesome.
It certainly would be. So that's yeah. So those are some of the comments that have come in. I think if he's ready, we can get right to Keith. You can try and dial him up. I'm guessing he's
gonna spin him right
we're
up.
actually close to on time with him. I told him
we did tell him
9:45. Yeah, 1:45. Do you ever say quarter of?
Not quarter of, no, quarter to.
I think that's a regional thing or a generational thing. I'm not a fan. Some people say quarter of, and I'm not a fan of that.
That would be like 9:15, right?
No,
if you're saying it's a quarter of 10, then I would think it would be 10 plus a quarter. But not quarter. I don't know. Either way, it sounds silly to me.
And Scott asks
3/4 of 10, that'd be 9:45.
Yeah.
A quarter of 10, that'd be like 9:15, I guess. Quarter of 10. But
Okay.
but you wouldn't. No, that's ridiculous.
Should I Google this? I feel like that's a thing.
I'm sure it is. I mean, everything's a thing, but you should first message up Mr. Murray.
Oh, okay. That's a good call. It looks like
he's online. He just probably
answering.
didn't see his Skype ring.
So hopefully he's ready to go, and then we can get him joined in. He's probably calling in maybe from his house or the shop.
Yeah, I mean, every year, usually the Memorial has some awesome Discraft discs.
Some pre-event discs or possibly a new release or a fundraiser.
Yep.
There's some of that stuff.
Something special and unique.
Huge, one of the first events in the country to go with a massive players pack and then not offer a separate payout besides great trophies at the end. We know that they adopted that idea a few years ago. So I think we are ready if we can find him.
Let's see if we can find this guy. It is Keith. It's Waldo.
What?
No, Keith Murray.
I can't believe you told me you guys were dressing up. Thanks a lot.
No, we explicitly said we weren't dressing up, and you're like, I don't care. I'm all in. We're like, all right.
Well, that is true. You know me.
Welcome, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Good. How you guys doing? Happy Halloween.
We're yes, same to you. We just had Dynamite. We'll say he almost gave the attempt at a costume. We didn't even give that much, but dare I ask, are there festivities later on after you're done with us here tonight?
Possibly not. I still got a lot of work to do to get ready for registration to open tomorrow, so probably just enjoy this time with you guys. Hopefully catch the last few innings of the baseball game, go Astros.
Okay.
Go JVs. And, go from there.
All right, so very first question's got to be, you just mentioned the schedule, you mentioned registration. With regards to the opening of the registration, is it tiered? Is it breakdown? Where can they find it? And what time for which time zones can people get registered? Because I genuinely don't know, and I really want to know.
So basically, it's going to be 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That makes it 3:30 Eastern. 9:30 p.m. in Finland and Estonia for our friends over there. 8:30 in Sweden. I already had a bunch of folks contacting me from all those spots, so there should be a pretty decent time for them as well to sign up. Not like 3 in the morning, like it's worked out sometimes when I've had KJ calling me.
Yep.
But yeah, so that'll be tomorrow, discgolfscene.com, November 1st, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Initially for the MPO and FPO folks, those are just going to be Disc Golf Tour Pro card holders, as well as PDJ touring cards. So those will be the first one they'll sign up for the first week. Amateurs and all 40 and up pro divisions, they can sign up tomorrow at 12:30 as well. So that'll be wide open.
Okay, so 12:30 Eastern. Oh, I'm going to put this right on my Facebook wall.
Noon.
So noon or 12:30?
p.m. 12:30 p.m. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So 12:30 p.m. Eastern is the open of registration for the memorial. And again, I'm putting it even on my Facebook so that I can reference it later. 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Everybody else can figure out the time. Oh, Pacific.
Yes. 12:30 Pacific.
I pacifically put in the wrong one. Sorry.
Everything's in my time. Everything, the world is mine. You're all just kind of hanging out.
Yeah,
that's fine.
You guys have a weird time zone, though. I mean,
No, that is, we don't change.
yeah.
We don't change. So we're Pacific now, and then the winter time will be Mountain, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
I'm already confused.
Exactly.
Find me then. It's really crazy.
Okay. So I want to get that in, is when the registration for the memorial begins. Wow, that was a tough sentence for me to write on Facebook, but it's there. Okay.
Oh, and internationals too. Even international pros we're allowing to sign up tomorrow. So international players do have the ability to sign up for both MPO and FPO, regardless of their tour card status, since they don't have the ability to typically get one. You know, they don't play enough.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. So recap that again. International players, MPO and FPO, regardless if they have any PDGA or Disc Golf Pro Tour cards, they can sign up. They're eligible. What other divisions in the professionals are eligible to sign up?
MP40, MP50, MP60, and then all amateur divisions.
And all amateur divisions. Okay.
Oh, and then also FP40, right?
Yes. Okay.
If you're tapping on your phone or computer, don't do that.
Sorry, if it was a computer, I couldn't think. Yeah, but
You're good. You're good.
All right.
So this brings me to another great question. I've got a bunch for you, but this brings me to another great question. You just said MP 40, 50, and 60. There's a lot of hubbub and a lot of ruckus and chaos over the whole extra 5-year divisional breakdowns. And I think you've just answered that question, that an event such as this, you guys are foregoing that option, which is totally just that, an option to you. You're going to forego that. What kind of thought process went into that, to that decision?
we discussed a few different options. We discussed maybe not having the 40, what would be old, previously known as Masters. We thought about maybe starting a 45 to 55 or 45 to 60 maybe, you know, and then maybe a 60 up or something like that. So we were looking at definitely not offering all, but choosing which. I like the flexibility there, you know, but at the same time, we just decided to go with, you know, the tried and true for now, but, you know, maybe look at the numbers a little closer. We also had to cut a lot of age-protected numbers, so in addition to advanced players.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question, and I guess the schedule is out there. So for those that were scouring, some pretty major news that's going to impact literally hundreds of people. What do you got?
Yeah, so we decided to go ahead and just go back to the traditional Vista del Camino and Fountain Hills format. So just playing both those courses. It's tough for me because Fiesta was one of my faves. You know, being how open it is out here and originally being from Detroit, it was the most wooded course we had. You know, I mean, and it actually had a few really nice shots. It definitely had probably about 4 solid fillers. Man, I mean, and even Dana would tell you.
Sure.
So that was unfortunate, you know, but I love that course. And so if it just hadn't been, it just seemed like it wasn't necessarily doing what we wanted for the tournament. You know, it grew us numerically, but everything else seemed to be like pulling a little bit more away from other places. And so instead of being caught up in trying to be the biggest, we definitely needed to get back and focus on being the best.
Okay.
And
And
make that, you know, destination event. And plus, you know, we miss having everybody at Vista twice.
Yeah, you cut your field by 33%, as Terry just typed to somebody. So, you know, the fields are going to be smaller for the MPO and FPO divisions. And
really, is it safe to say all divisions are going to ultimately be somewhat impacted, some more than others?
Yeah, well, I mean, MPO and FPO did not. I actually increased the FPO, and so I am allowed up to 36, but we'll take as many as want to sign up. So if there's 36 FPOs signed up and some of the wait list, and we got open spots in the MPO division, I'm going to transfer those every tee time we can. Because, yeah, I'll keep on, you know, I'll have 50 women, as many as will come.
Okay.
With that being said, on the AM side, I had to cut Advanced Masters women, or what now is going to be MA 40, just because we only had 2 last year.
Sure.
And with cuts going from the other spots where, yeah, here's the big. I mean, Advanced went from 171 to 72.
woo,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but we have to cram. You know, we have one course full of MPO, FPO, and then another course for everybody else. So definitely constricts us a little bit. Had to make some, you know, adjustments somewhere.
So what are we looking at roughly? About 400 total participants, give or take?
I think 436 is kind of what I have it set at right now. 220 on the 40 and up pros and AMs, and 216 on the MPO, FPO side for now.
Okay. And of course, it's not new news, but you will be again kicking off what will now be the 3rd season of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. That's got to feel pretty good and be exciting to do.
Yeah. Super stoked. I am so happy to once again be kicking off the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Once again, this short off season, as we know it, is you know, been really quickly to come about, and Steve has once again been great to work with. So Steve Dodge and everybody, we just had a conference call with a lot of folks the other night, which was great. Super stoked that my buddy John Minacucci and the Discraft Great Lakes Open is joining us this year. That'll be pretty awesome. Or at least the Great Lakes Open. That might be an old name.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't think it was last year. But regardless, but yeah, that I love the Disc Golf Pro Tour. The events they bring, we got. You can sign up for the tourney bracket right through the registration now. The Night Eyes night golf event on Thursday. Sign up for that right through registration right now. Yeah, they just bring a lot of good things, and it seems like we're actually using the, you know, combined power of the tournaments and Disc Golf Pro Tour to, you know, make life easier for everybody.
Well, and I'll follow it up by saying by reducing the courses by 1 and for all competitors, it's also, and you said, yeah, then you'll have 2 rounds at Vista, 2 rounds at Fountain, but it also, I feel like it will kind of get back to, I'll say old school, 10 or so years ago at least, of when it really felt like we were a little bit more compact. We were more centralized. And yes, you still have the 2 courses. I understand they're 30 minutes apart, but just knowing more stuff is going to probably go on out at Vista. You're going to be seeing play there for 2 days, but that'll be a little bit more of a hub. I feel like Dukes could be a little bit more into play, who are already an amazing sponsor and supporter, but I think we're going to get a little bit more of that togetherness back together, a slightly smaller field that will just allow for that, or you know, will assist that. Is that a fair, you think that's a fair assessment?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I think that it really does. You know, it'll just be a little bit more, you know, it's hard to say intimate with 436 people, but in comparison to how many we have had, I suppose that is a, you know, fair statement. But yeah, it should be great. I definitely think that when you have that many people, of course, it's going to just disperse over a greater area. Some folks want to be closer to this course, some to others. And it also, I mean, I tell you what, a lot of things we heard from players were travel, you know,
Sure.
Especially as we split up. You know, just last year, staying with me was Carlo Pell playing Masters, his girlfriend Kim playing Advanced Women, and Lusty, Mike Luss, playing Open, you know, in 2 vehicles.
Sure.
So it's like juggling 3 different pools. In addition to putting a lot of pressure on the event, they put a lot of pressure on the players.
Yeah, I think this will certainly simplify a lot of things. Unfortunately, not as many people are going to be able to partake, but for those that are there, those that are playing and committed to it, it will simplify the process. And we talk about it all the time. With the short week that happens, with people, being in a place like Vegas, then coming here for a 4-day event that starts already on Wednesday, that's one less course to practice. And I think that's going to be huge as well. Some may have said it's an easy course or plenty of birdies, which there are, but you still usually wanted to spend some time practicing it and making sure you were dialed in on it. And now that's one less course they have to worry about. And really, it feels like you're, I don't want to say catching up with the times, but that's where we're going. We're seeing either 1 or sometimes 2 courses on most of these events. So it feels like you're kind of falling a little bit more in sync with what we see from the other, what we're seeing from other events.
Oh, sure. And we're certainly never, going to be in a spot where we know everything, where, whatever we do is perfect and we're going to stand by it no matter what. We'll save that for the White House. But what I can say is that we definitely, love hearing player feedback. We tried it for 3 years. It's not something that we were going to abandon after the first year.
Mm-hmm.
We made it a little better after the second, a little better for the third. But you know what? I mean, it's definitely something to where we can still wind up, learning from, I don't want to call it a mistake because it was great. I loved having the extra people. I loved having the course. We're still incorporating. They had an amazing Friday night golf out there with a band playing and a food truck, and it was pretty crazy, like a light up distance off the driving range. They still want to be involved for that. So the disc golf course isn't going anywhere in the golf course. It's just not going to be used for competition. And yeah, we're just going to make it, bigger and better memorial in other ways.
Well, for anyone that's coming to the area, wants to get in as many courses as possible, or go play that course and check it off their list, or go play a warm-up or a practice round there because the other courses are going to be heavily practiced. Maybe you're dialed in on your 2 courses and want to go play somewhere else, with a fresh course. That's an option as well. Now, as noted on the board, I think a few have said this. It's technically undergone a different name. Is it gone from Fiesta Lakes to Freedom Disc Golf Course? Is that what I've heard?
That's correct. Technically, it went from Fiesta Lakes to Patriot to Freedom. But,
oh,
yeah, it is Freedom Disc Golf Course now. And once again, super cool cats over there. I can't say enough about, that's my favorite course to go play recreationally in the Valley, even when it's not a tournament setup. I love that course. Once again, there's trees, there's shade. It's the coolest course in the summertime. So yeah, and plus we're also going to still continue to have the Wednesday night players party over at Boulders on Southern. That was right around the corner from the course because they've become such a great partner and, absolutely love the disc golfers over there. And from what I understand, it sounds like we're going to be debuting another Bevel Brewing there. So another Bevel Brewing collaboration.
Good.
At the party. So
awesome.
Keep my fingers crossed for that one.
Well, if we're breaking news, do you know if it's going to be with the same, if they're going to be working with the same Perch Brewing or Perch Brewery or whatever, or do you know if they're working with a new brewery?
As far as I know, they are going to be working again with Brett over at Perch.
Okay.
So they did such a great job last year, or I should say this year, with Circle's Edge IPA.
Yep.
That they're looking forward to, connecting again and seeing what else they can come up with.
Sweet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut our video to you. You're gonna still see us, or I'm sorry, we're gonna still see you. You're just not gonna see us. So that might help with our connection. It's a little spotty here.
You know what? Hold on, too. I'm streaming the game. Shit, sorry.
That's hilarious because for so long, for a good year and a half, we made sure to always tell guests, hey, make sure you're not doing any Netflixing or streaming anything else. And never even thought of that.
Series.
All right, so that should be a little bit clearer for everybody.
All right.
So is there anything else? If we're teasing this out and letting everyone know when the registration is 12:30 Pacific time tomorrow is when registration's going to open. We're going to see just the 2 courses, but still have Boulders on Southern and Fiesta Lakes Freedom Disc Golf Course is still going to be welcoming people. What about maybe some insights? The Players Pack and what Discraft does is usually part of the big hubbub, so to speak, of the event. If I can steal a term from my mother. Hubbub, comments, what's in the works on that side? Anything you can share with us?
We got a few ideas that we're working on that Mike Wagner over there has been very receptive to. So one of the things we were just discussing today that sounds like it's going to work out is going to be a Sparkle Thrasher, which we're really looking forward to. I think that's going to be, the Thrasher's been a hot one, not to mention as soon as you put Val's name on there, I mean, that certainly doesn't hurt. So yeah, that thing is going to be awesome. I do believe as well they're going to be rocking out some swirl ESP Undertakers for us. Those things should be money. I saw those swirl ESP nukes and fell in love and asked if they'd be happy to do some Undertakers for us, and sounds like those should be coming sooner than later. And then there's some talk about figuring out exactly how to do a nice set of what I just call them the disco ball, you know, where they got like that full top crazy foil thing. So
okay,
trying to figure out exactly how we're going to utilize that and what to do, what the best way to, you know, put that together. But look for those, something in that realm coming sooner than later as well.
Okay, awesome. We know it seems like, well, every year at the
Something
memorial
fun and
or
special.
for the memorial, yeah, there's unique fundraiser discs, and then there's also usually very unique items that get put into the players pack as well. So everyone's treated very well. And on the AM side, will it still be? Yeah, it'll still be the 3 days. Is that correct? It'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the pros will play Wednesday through Saturday.
Yep, exactly. So now that's nice. The AMs will get 2 shots at Fountain again rather than just a shot at each of those guys.
Okay.
And then, we'll wrap up with the cut and pros finishing at Fountain on Saturday. So travel day Sunday. And you know what to tell? I mean, one of the comments I saw first thing on the post yesterday on Facebook, oh, please tell me it's before Vegas. You know what? In a perfect world, I would love to go to Vegas every year after the Memorial Championship. Are you kidding me? That would be a dream vacation for Dano and myself, to get out of here after the Memorial and not run a tournament, actually play one, or for me, just sit in a pool somewhere maybe. Awesome. But with that being said, the timing is just not there.
Okay.
With NASCAR in Vegas, there's something else in Vegas. Because, we would also love to not be in spring training time just for the hotel fact. You know, we get crushed on hotel rates because it's spring training. So in a perfect world, we would love to wrap up on Saturday and give guys Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to drive 4.5 hours. We worked with Taqua back and forth. PDGA, Wintertime Open's one. It would affect the Wintertime Open. So unfortunately, it's just not as easy as flip-flopping as you would hope. But, you know, in a perfect world, if something changes, maybe it will wind up there in the next 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah, well,
I'll keep hoping.
I was going to say, if there's one of the things that you guys have proven throughout all these years is you're not afraid to try new things, and that goes all the way back to, again, even just the days that people are golfing. You know, when it used to end on Sunday, and then you guys got moved up to Saturday, and starting on a Wednesday, and things like bringing in the additional course and being part of the Pro Tour after being with the National Tour for so long. So you guys are proving year in and year out that you're always open to changes. And at the end of the day, we all know you're never going to please all 6 or 436 players, 600 or 436. But you guys certainly work very hard to attempt to please every single one of them.
Oh, thanks, man. We appreciate that. And you guys work hard, you know, letting people check out the action that aren't here. And, you know, it's unfortunate that we had to lose a couple hundred people, but hopefully, you know, it's a couple hundred people more that are checking us out online, watching the action, you know, and then hopefully making it next year.
Well, and I'll further that. If you're, especially if you're going to someplace like Vegas, you can still come down, and obviously we're going to have the best players in the world are going to be there competing on 2 great courses. There's still going to be opportunities for things like caddying and or UDiscing to help keep track of the stats and do things along those lines. And there's, I'm sure, other tasks that you guys, you know, could always use more hands on deck. But I think, like, if you're going to make a vacation or you're going to make a trip, Vegas, then Arizona, you know, when there's golf not going on, like you just said, there's a ton of major league teams that are running their spring training in that area. There's ball golf if you're into that, the regular style. I mean, there's so many different things you could come do. And then you have that 2 to 3 to 4 hour window of hardcore golf taking place. We're going to have the women teeing off early every day and the men, the MPO teeing off later, so we can do what we do with the footage. So you can watch both the top card of women and the top card of men. Like, I don't know. I know I'm trying to sell it, but it just seems like a no-brainer that
at this point, you don't have to sell the memorial.
Exactly.
I mean, it's sold itself for the past 10 plus years. So
Carver has a great suggestion that maybe you guys put together this year. I don't think you've done it in the past. Some kind of really special spectator player pack that's exclusive to people that are showing up, that they can purchase it or buy it ahead of time or something like that. I think we've seen that at some other big events like GBO possibly. Maybe there's a tie-in there, or maybe there's a certain pack you get if you're volunteering and helping out for so many days. There's some ideas out there.
Yeah, definitely, and we had even touched on that a little bit in the video conference for the Disc Golf Pro Tour TDs, and
Nice.
that could very well be something that you see this year. It'd be nice to get that going. I think I had spectator guides forever, and definitely something that is handy to have, and we want to get people out there to watch, and anything we can do to encourage that certainly will help. So all good ideas, and definitely something we want to try to make happen. It's tricky enough, as you know how it is, to run a tournament and get everything ready to go, and in addition to what you need for the players, but then also your volunteers. But yeah, we're going to do our best to really take care of the spectators, as well as I don't necessarily like the VIP terminology, but some sort of premier pack or something as well, or maybe it's just the spectator pack. It's just if you that's all it is. If you kick in a little sponsorship, then you wind up a little behind the ropes or something.
Yeah,
So,
there's definitely some ideas there. I would say maybe there should be a SmashBox VIP pack, media pass, and then you just step in and you commentate, and you let me go take a nap or something.
get to commentate for 2 holes.
Yeah, I hand off the mic to anyone, and and then they can run off and do it. I'm good with that.
No,
Couldn't be.
not.
yes,
I don't know. And then I'm just going to go ahead and assume that we'll work out some deal. It seems to be relatively popular, especially early in the year, that we have some kind of nightly recaps, something I would hope to be involved with if we could do some kind of interviews and such. And again, if we're making Fiesta a little bit more of a focal point and bringing that back into the mix more, that means more popularity over at Duke's and more normal traffic flow through there. So if they just move all those foosball tables or pool tables out of the way, maybe we can set up in there again.
I like it. Yeah, I'm sure we can work out something. Because, I definitely think it is, like you said, it's going to be way more of the hub, kind of like before. More people, kind of tightly congested. So, yeah, I think that'd be great. Because, I love you guys. I want you definitely setting up there. If we could rock out the dailies, that's awesome. That's always been a great time. And Al loves having you guys there. So, definitely looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to you coming this weekend, man. I can't believe I get to see you in a couple days here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I was just gonna say you've got a little less than 120 days or so, 4 months before we're teeing in we're teeing off over there at the Memorial. But yes, this weekend, PLO. I want to thank Peter Hildebrandt. He stepped up. He became a sponsor last week. Dan Harbeck said he was going to contribute a little bit to making the trip possible. And Phoenix Ladies Open. You're as knowledgeable as anyone else we could talk to. Give everyone the scoop on the PLO this weekend that I'm going to be at.
Phoenix Ladies Open is shaping up to be our biggest one yet. Last I looked on Disc Golf Scene, it was 80 ladies. We had 81 last year, so just a couple more. We'll top that. Sarah Holcomb's first time out. I heard you guys talking about that earlier with Data.
Mm-hmm.
Super stoked to have her. I already got some boxes from Legacy for her, so unless she's getting a bunch of stuff and running, she might be sitting pretty for a while. So
Good.
Maybe there's a little insider for you. But so she's going to be out here. Katrina Allen, she got into town today. She was out there practicing. She's going to be doing a clinic on Friday as well. It's a 2-round, 1-day B tier. Phoenix Ladies Open is in its, I want to say, they're 12. I'm going to get in trouble for that. I'm pretty sure 12 now. It's a great time. It's all ladies, all divisions. The juniors play 1 round. We get a number of the young girls out there. All the guys caddy. food, catering, over 200% payout for AMs and pros. They really do it up, and we're happy at Spinners on the Green to do whatever we can to bring more ladies into the sport and help the ones that are already there and try to keep growing it. So big shout out goes to Pete Uliberry Jr. and Michael Spencer, who both stepped up huge to take over the actual tournament director, titles this year. And of course, Jamie Spencer, Michael's wife, she's been doing a rocking job doing caddy books and stuff. And man, it's just, there's really coming together. We got a blanket raffle drive they're doing. Yeah, it's just a great time, and you really see a good community of disc golfers when you get the ladies together.
Yeah, I was there last year for the first time at this event, and it was everything you said and then some. It was awesome to see. I'm fortunate that I've been to a handful of some of our biggest women's tournaments that take place around the country. Thinking of the Daisy Chains out in California, also thinking of the Rocky Mountain Women's, and this is another one of those, like, I feel like is a must-hit women's only event. You get the women are treated so well. I think they'd even go as far as saying they're completely spoiled at this event with all the stuff that's given out, thanks to the gracious sponsors. And like you said, Mike and Pete step up as your official tournament directors this year. It's awesome to see. I'm going to try to kind of mix things up and get around the course as much as possible and get as many, we'll say, random shots on during the morning round. I'd like to put together a little montage from that round, and then second round, the final round, like I did last year, I'll then go to the FPO lead card and follow them shot by shot, and then eventually release a video of that coverage. And just so everyone knows, I think what's also worth noting is this event, because of the player base that you have and the variety of skill levels, it's not the same course that's seen for the Memorial, which has this massive, Vista XL Memorial layout. A lot of the baskets are moved super short into positions that some people have never even seen because they're used to just seeing the Memorial. So when we go out to this event, things are much more friendly for all of the skill levels that are there. Your top players like your Katrina, it's not unheard of to watch her card 8 or 10 or 12, twos out there. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I think that just helps make it a little bit more inviting for everyone when it's not quite as daunting of a course.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's where we have to go as well, because I think women should be shooting under more, or at least a more, level play than what we're doing now. There's no, there's never a ball golf tournament unless the woman plays a men's tournament that they're teeing off from the same tees. It's ridiculous. So, and that was one of the conversations that we also discussed on the Disc Golf Pro Tour video conference, and all agreed upon that there's certainly many places that could use ladies' tees that there aren't, and that's something that we're going to be working with UDisc really closely to correct that. It's time for women to be more competitive. Not like they're not competitive, don't get me wrong, but at the same time have more of a a fair course. I mean, it just it doesn't play to their strengths a lot of times, and that's unfortunate. So we want to make sure that and like you said with the Phoenix Ladies Open course, it is definitely one where we want women to shoot their best, but also have a competitive round. And there's still plenty of OB, sidewalk OB. Water's going to come into play on a few holes, so it's certainly no cakewalk, but at the same time, it's not Vista XL either, for sure.
Exactly. And that was one of the things that I took most note of last year. It was just how much more inviting and applicable that course was to the skill sets that were out there. And you said it earlier too. We're talking about everyone from juniors all the way to your Katrina and your Sarah, the two of the 3 highest rated women in the world. So you're also trying to cater all those different skill levels even within the women's divisions, and that's quite a wide scope. But it looks like the layout that you have should suit exactly those needs.
Yeah, because there's going to be juniors tees and so forth. They'll have different tee placements, even I believe for recreational and possibly even intermediates.
Okay.
So yeah, they're definitely kind of forward thinking and just try to make it. I mean, again, we're not trying to make it easy on them, but at the same time, we're trying to make it a competitive and fair course to play.
Well, that's awesome. And you said there's roughly 80 or 81 or 81 registered right now, surpassing last year's number.
80 last I looked. There was 81 last year, so a couple more would get us to a new record. So any
Awesome.
ladies out there watching, if you're around Arizona, come on out. California, I wouldn't offer a spot. That might be creepy, but there's definitely places to stay around here. It's not expensive yet, like it will be around the holidays and spring training time. But yeah, it's such a great event, and if you want to meet some new lady disc golfers, you can sign up for that on discgolfteam.com as well.
All right. Well, it would be less creepy, A, if you weren't wearing that costume, or B, I wasn't already at your place. Those two combos, I'm not sure work out for people. But I am excited. Thank you for graciously offering to put me up. I come in sometime Friday, early evening or so, and I'll probably Uber right over to your place, or maybe Uber right over to the course and see what's going on as you're probably helping put final touches on the course. Now, I think Phoenix Ruger Redbird mentioned, is there going to be, you said there's a clinic by Katrina. Is there also going to be Friday night doubles, glow doubles of sorts going on out there, or no?
Yep. There'll be night golf glow doubles. That's been the last. So we've done Sierra Nevada third Fridays night golf in the park for about 3.5 years now. And one year, Friday before PLO, and it was a blast. Man, probably 20 ladies came out for that one. It was awesome. And it just never happened to fall on the same. So a couple years ago, they decided to go ahead and start doing Friday night random draw doubles. And so, yep, there'll be Friday night random draw doubles at Vista Del Camino as well. We're going to light up the baskets. Probably do I'm guessing a similar to like the Sierra Nevada, like a 12-hole no water loop is kind of what we do for our third Friday night. So something to keep it fun, and try to keep the water out of play. That way you can really light up one disc and have a good time. So yeah, that should be great. That'll be Friday night, and that'll be a blast.
What time is that at?
I want to say 6.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not quite dark till 6:37. So, but I want to say 6. I can't remember exactly. But again, the schedule should be posted on discgolfteam.com.
Okay. I was just wondering if I would get there in time for it, but unfortunately, I don't think I don't get into town quick enough for that action. But looking forward to it.
Yeah, keep me posted. I could grab you too, so it'd be a quick round trip.
And then before we let you go, I know we got Memorial, we got PLO, and then I'm going to probably see you like 3 weeks later. I unfortunately have to come back to Arizona again in November. But coming back, you guys just hosted one of the qualifying or wrap-up qualifying events in
the Next Gen Tour.
For the Next Gen Tour, yeah. I was going to say if that was a regional event, I believe.
The regional championship.
So you wrapped up that, and now Fountain Hills in like 3 or 4 weeks for the Next Gen finale. Everyone's going to be back in Arizona for more action.
Yep. It's fun. I know Dave's trying to figure out where to stick 72 Zuka carts right now, and I'm hoping it's not going to wind up in our back room, so we're trying to figure out if we can even fit those. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting weekend, giving away a car for the top AM. Not to mention, I want to say the top 8 spots also qualify for a rookie exemption at the Disc Golf Pro Tour card. So I really hope that this does kind of do what, it seems like it's trying to, and that's, really kind of make a graduating platform for amateurs. Let's let them, revel in some glory, and then let's get you to the pro side, So I think that really is, it seems like the guys that have been excited, competitive, have traveled to the different, and then they'll now be coming out here for the finals. I think these guys are the crowd that could be ready to go, and maybe we're looking at these guys as the, year after year, the top 8 or top 10 that we could be talking about at the Memorial. Where are these guys going to finish in March? That could be a conversation in the next few years. It could be a conversation this year. So it's kind of exciting. Yeah,
it's certainly that, whether you want to call it the minors into the majors or just kind of that natural progression or crossover. Yeah, we're looking at these guys that have now traveled to a couple of different events. And then in order to win the Next Gen Tour, and I think we're going to have Dave next week or the week after, so we won't get into too much, but to win that final event and ultimately go home with the car, there's 2 rounds of 18 on Friday. There's 2 rounds of 18 on Saturday. This is all at Fountain Hills. There's a round of 18 on Sunday, and then 2 separate 9 holes yet to play and to win on Sunday afternoon. So the winner of the car will be, the final person standing after 6 full rounds of golf.
Wow.
He'll need a car just to drive another car to drop his bag off because he's just, he's got rubber band legs now. Yeah, it's a lot of golf, but it's also some cuts too, which is
Correct.
exciting. I dug that. I didn't realize all the cuts at the regional championship, but that was a lot of fun. And then Dukes was gracious enough to let us host the distance competition, the distance finals off the patio there. That was a blast. Even though we cannot do that with pros because Anthony Varela almost hit the hotel. So that is not going to happen at the Shelley or Memorial as I would hope. Because once I saw that, I was like, they're just going to try to hit it. So no.
Yeah. Yeah, there may have to be some kind of governor on the disc, or maybe you have the competition, but it is only putters from there.
Yeah, Zephyr. Ooh, I like it. Or Ultra Star.
I was just gonna say, why don't you name one of your sponsors' discs? How about an Ultra Star?
My sponsors will be Salient next year. Oh, man. All right, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night. I don't know if you could end it any better. You get a lawsuit in the mail. All right. Do you have anything else you want to share? We can let you go. We've got a few things we're going to address before we wrap up. Is there anything else you want to let the world know?
I would not mind a quick little plug here. For the first time in a long time, we're moving the Shelley Sharp Memorial. It's usually held in October, but we actually postponed it this year, in part of because of the Next Gen Regional Championship. And October was just so packed. God forbid was going to come out here when you got Florida and South Carolina and Georgia. Good luck. So we're moving it to January. It's going to be a full-on Memorial warm-up, especially since we're going back to 2 rounds of Vista. It's 3 rounds of Vista XL. Friday, Saturday, Sunday for pros. It'll be January 19th, 20th, and 21st. The PDGA has not opened up sanctioning yet for 2018 events, but it's supposed to be tomorrow, so look for that to get posted here in the next few days. But that'll be fun. Maybe even if you can't make the Memorial, you could come play the Shelley Sharp in January and check out the Vista XL layout for 3 rounds of fun. So 3 rounds for pros, 2 rounds for AMs. So
awesome.
Tee time all weekend. But yeah, beyond that, man, go check out spinnersonthegreen.com or give us a call if anybody has any questions for Memorial, disc golf, or just life advice.
Well, as they're saying on the board, Arizona, obviously, again, we don't need a big sell for the Memorial, but Arizona, with this October, November, January timeframe, such a perfect place to be, time for your vacation or time to put a few of these events on your calendar so that you make sure to find yourself out there. I know Maricopa is another event that I visited. I know they're talking about when they kick off in January as well, so they're going to have an event going on, and what a perfect time. And what's that?
I talked to Javier. We're going back to back, so if guys have the time, they can spend all week. So I'm sure we'll get a few stragglers playing that. Hell, I even got Carlo coming out, right? Exactly, So, I mean, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great time. It'll be, far enough away from the holidays. I think it'll be fine. And then, soon enough before spring training that we shouldn't be getting crushed with rates and stuff too. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to, having, that one's a much more regional, not as big tournament, 150 usually. And so it'll be nice to kind of have that little warm up, especially going back to XL twice. Just make sure if we do make any adjustments that it's running smoothly, and go from there. So, oh, and here's a little tidbit. Dano's, from a kind of, a little personal standpoint, he is so excited to not be having to build the Fiesta Lakes course the week before. He's already joking about playing open at the Memorial. So
wow.
Maybe you can't get in that first week. Well, maybe I could weasel him in there somehow. But technically, I'm sure we can come up with an exemption. But yeah, he was just like, when we were talking about having to drop it, or just if it made sense as we kicked this around, that was one thing. He was like, well, personally, it would save my body a lot of wear and tear if I didn't have to do that, because he does put a lot of work into that. So that would have never been possible without him. That was one thing that, always bugged me when you get the criticism, is knowing how much he did and, knowing how much he wished he could have made it absolutely perfect 18. But yeah, just didn't work. And might be seeing Dano in the Open. If he's feeling good, man, you might be feeling him on top card. So that'd be fun.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Our Hall of Famer, Dan Ginley, one of the first ever touring players on the planet, and obviously one of the major backbones and components of Spinners on the Green and of the Memorial and everything that is disc golf in Arizona, for that matter. So, all right, pal. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate, as always, your enthusiasm. We love that you dressed up way better than us two chumps did. We'll have to address that for next year. And
I'm watching Social Network or something here. Gee, Jesse Eisenberg up top, and I don't know who you are, but
I'm looking forward to some Arizona weather. It sounds like you've got all sorts of events for me to come out there for the next few months, including the Memorial and everything else. So looking forward to it, pal. We appreciate the insights and all the details for the event. Tomorrow, 12:30 Pacific time is when registration opens for the Memorial. Go out there and read about it and
if you're
know what
listening
you're
to
talking
this
about.
on Thursday,
You're probably too late.
You're probably too late. So let's make sure to get that
Exclusive inside scoop here tonight that pays off to be a live listener.
or a Patreon member. If you're a Patreon member, you'll get this tonight.
Exactly. So it pays to Patreon. This should be a tagline of ours. All right. Keith Murray, we appreciate everything you do for us, for the sport, for the Pro Tour, for the Arizona scene, for just everyone out there. Thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple days, buddy.
Hey, man, I can't wait.
All right.
See you guys soon.
Have a great night.
Later.
Peace.
Peace. All right.
So we got some fun stuff. Thanks, Keith.
Is he the most gangster Waldo we've ever had? Or wannabe gangster Waldo? Detroit roots?
He does have Detroit roots for sure. Here's a couple things about what was just announced. I mean, we're gonna get to a disc golf nerd review here real quick. I wanted to do it before Keith, but Dana ran right up to the mark. So
okay.
I liked Fiesta Lakes.
Yep.
It's a good course. There are like 5 or 6 just spectacular holes on that course.
Sure.
And there's, like they said, 4 or 5 holes that are just filler.
Yeah,
like
connector holes.
That just
had to happen.
That had to happen. And then you've got 5 or 6 mediocre holes that are just kind of like, let's get through these. They're a par, a birdie, whatever. So I'm a little disappointed to see Fiesta come out because it was a fun course to watch. People kind of slam a little bit Fountain that it's a hyzer fest if you're a righty, I guess, but you still have to hit your mark and hit your points. But I think overall it's better for the event to take it out, to make it a slightly more, we'll say, more in line with what we've seen from a lot of the other Pro Tour events.
Yeah, and Robert McCall from Disc Golf Answer Man and Team DD is on the board, and he says it's a good course. It's just not a pro caliber course. And it to steal a Nate Sexton term, it was a soft course when you're talking about the caliber of players that we have that can just shred it, and they make it look almost too easy.
Yeah,
because they're that good.
I don't like the terminology soft in that case.
Soft for a as a pro caliber course, I think it is.
I kind of feel like soft is. I think soft is when your par is off a little more so than. But definitions, whatever. But in general, you're right. It's not up to the caliber of the other 2 courses that are there for the pros. Now, maybe we can see. I'd love to see something like a Sunday event there for AMs. That'd be kind of.
It'd be wow.
Wow, that came on right. Like that'd be kind of fun, just like a mini tournament or something. Or is there going to be a cut at the Pro Tour this year? I don't know if there is.
I'm not sure.
I'd love to see our Pro Tour events have cuts.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
I think
so we could hear everyone complain about where the cut line is. But yes,
cut it cash. That's the rule.
I don't believe that's happening.
I don't think so either. But I would love to see it. And then the last thing, I was just thinking when we were talking to Keith for a Pro Tour fundraiser. Steve Dodge, if you're listening to this, which I know you're not, I would like to see a limited run of discs, some full color stamps of each event. I think like a collection. So you have 9 or 10, maybe only make 100 or 150 or let's say 100 of each disc, and you sell them for $30 a pop, and they come out maybe when the event happens. So you could have this really cool full color collection of all the discs. I don't know if it would sell. I don't know if anyone would care.
Well, last year, along the lines, they came out with champion discs after the event. Obviously, it happened, and champions were crowned. That then depicted by listing the champions' names along with a great photo from the event.
Mhm.
So that's kind of along. But
Yeah.
you're saying have a pre-event disc possibly.
more so of a pre-event. Now, granted, if you did it after, I just kind of feel like once the event ends, it tends to leave people's memories, and it's nice to honor the winner. But I would kind of like to honor the actual event, or so to speak, the course.
Sure. And I would be guessing that individual events are doing some form of fundraiser discs and things of their own, so those may exist. But you're saying from a Pro Tour perspective to have a specific Pro Tour collection.
Yeah, I'm saying a specific Pro
you.
Tour collection.
Sure.
And because it would be great for us to be able to say during the event, hey, go here for your memorial disc. It's whatever. It's got this cool stamp on it. And all
Johnny V
proceeds.
bathing in the fountain.
Ooh.
That would be awesome.
That's gross on so many levels.
I know, and I have this great photo of you in the fountain water up to your crotch. We can say any word we want. Crotch isn't a bad word. Roughly up to your crotch.
Really?
Though. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What hole? Hole 18? It's got to be hole 18, I would think.
I think it was, and if I spent 5 minutes on Facebook, I could go find it. Yeah. It's just an amazing photo of you from many, many years ago when we were there, probably around 2007 or so. But yeah, it's just this great photo of you in there.
Right. All right, well, let's get Disc Golf Nerd provided us with what he calls the Smashy Rock. I believe this is he told me earlier it was the Halloween Pumpkin Rock. The Rock 3, I believe is what it is. So before anything happens, I'm going to just spin this out. We'll let this play, and then we'll come back with all of our other news. How does that sound to you?
Sure.
All right. So without any further ado, this is Disc Golf Nerd. You can find him on Google. You can find him on YouTube. He does a lot of really great disc reviews. So here we go.
What's up, Smashies? Happy Halloween and welcome to my review of the Innova Star Rock X3. It's a brand new disc from Innova. It's an overstable mid-range. First of all, how rad is this stamp? I really like it. It's a party time stamp on the black background. Star Plastic is great. All you guys should be pretty familiar with Star Plastic. It's high quality premium plastic blend from Innova. This thing has a really nice feel in the hand for sure, and just a really, really cool stamp. When I saw these being released, I knew I was going to be interested in picking one up for myself. This is the only way to get the Rock X3 in Star Plastic currently, but I'm sure they'll be available in full production runs relatively soon. And it's a really nice flying disc. Feel in the hand is good. It's pretty flat top. It's relatively low profile. It's not a super deep dish feel in the hand. It's got a pretty reminiscent shape. Definitely a noticeable bead there. It feels good for me. I like the bead. I feel like it helps me release the disc nice and clean. Have a little snap on my release. Let's talk about the flight of this thing. I found it to be very straight with almost no natural turn. It would just hold a very nice release angle straight down the line with varying degrees of fade at the end of the flight depending on how high I threw it and the release angle. It holds a hyzer very nicely. You can throw it flat and level and have it just fly very straight with a little finish at the end of the flight. If you pull it over on anhyzer, it will start turning for a while, but for me, seem to always want to come all the way back out to the left, making it a nice flex shot mid-range through the woods, or just something that you can throw into some wind and put a strong pull on it without worrying about it veering off the line and turning over very much at all. So it's a really straight, consistent flyer. It's something that I enjoyed testing quite a bit because it was very intuitive. It didn't take me very long to get a feel for how to throw it. It would hold release angles very nicely, and it was very predictable in its flight. Ultimately, I think it's best suited for more advanced players with a little more power because it can handle it and fly nice and straight and have a little bit of fade at the end of the flight depending on the angle. If you were more of a beginner, I think it would be a pretty overstable mid-range, but still a very functional disc to have in your bag for windy days and nice hyzer approaches, and just when you need to pull out a disc that you know exactly how it's going to fly. That's my review of the Innova Star Rock X3. Thanks to all the Smashies. Thanks to Johnny V and Terry for having me. I'll check you all very soon. Cheers!
All right, thanks a lot, Disc Golf Nerd. Once again, that was the Innova Halloween Rock. I've got one of the old orange ones behind this drop cloth. I'm not going to dig it up, but thanks for your input as always. We appreciate it. So.
Yes, thank you very much, Disc Golfer. I'm going to send a quick shout out. Jake Shirky had sent, and some of you are going to benefit from this.
Mm-hmm.
He had sent when I was on one of my long travels, and I just found it. I'm digging through mail and trying to get caught up on life, the rare moments I'm home. And sure enough, he had sent over we'll say a tube or a small collection of Smashbox vinyls. I think they were running some extra stuff at work, or he was training, or claimed he was getting trained on the job, or running a new machine. And he had sent over some stuff. He said, we're welcome to give them away or to sell them or whatever. We'd love to use some as a fundraiser of sorts, but I've also then handed a few out. And I handed out a handful of them to various people that had been waiting for so long on your free stuff. And I didn't even show Johnny this. I'm going to post it.
I have not seen this. I didn't even hear of this.
I know. Well, it's not that big of it. Well, It is a big deal to some, but I'll post it to Smashbox tonight. I think
I'd put a decal on my wife's car.
I think I don't have a picture of those. Those went into some of these boxes, but as I'll show Johnny here, sure enough, there's a picture of 8 sets of boxes that finally went out for various Patreon supporters. We had gotten the Patreon discs out. There's one person, I don't know if I remember telling you the name. One person's came back to me saying that we had an incorrect address. I'll have to figure out who that was again and get the right address. So the Patreon discs, as many of you know, already went out. You should have received one. And if you didn't, it's because you've signed up at that level just in the last week or two.
Yeah, we'll get those out more towards the end of the year.
There'll be a second set of those, so to speak. Second wave. However, there's been a lot of weekly prizes that have just continued to build and build, and as I've traveled, they've kind of stockpiled. So I sent out 8 individual weekly prize packs that had all sorts of things ranging from shirts to discs to towels to whatever. And so those got sent out to everyone finally. And I take full blame. Being only home a day or two out of a 10-day stretch sometimes, I didn't get fully caught up. I feel like I'm fully caught up. So by next Tuesday, if you have won something and you through our show and you have not received it, please message us and give us hopefully one final polite reminder. But I feel like we're fully caught up. And that includes 2 people in Canada, which are like 6 extra steps to mail stuff to them. And I got to go to another printer and all this other stuff and extra cost, but you got it. It's all coming your way. So yes, I feel like I am finally caught up. I'm going to post the picture to our Smashbox page on Facebook tomorrow. I'll show you these boxes of things. If you had your name pulled in the last 6 to 8 weeks, I think your stuff is on the way. And I even have tracking. So if you want to get the tracking from me, by all means, message me, and I'll gladly send you the tracking number as well. So I've got all that. All right. So that's so thank you to Jake. Thank you for and so I kind of just randomly threw in some of those packs. Some people, if I hadn't packed it up already by the time I opened those, I threw a few. I threw a vinyl of some kind of Smashbox. So thank you very much, Jake. We appreciate it very much. So. Wow. Breaking news. LA won, which means they're, of course, then going to Game 7.
Almost.
So it continues.
I love Game 7s for any sport. They're so exciting.
Yeah.
There's just
the ultimate, win or go home.
Yeah, it's the ultimate.
Or win and still go home. But
yeah. No matter what, you're going home. Lose and go home, win or go home.
That's true.
But baseball specifically, I think I like baseball Game 7s more so than even basketball Game 7s. I just think it feels like there's just more energy for me. And I'm not a huge basketball person, which would obviously come into that. But Game 7 baseball, awesome. I'm looking forward to watching it. My wife's out of town for the next couple of days, so it's just me and the kids. They go to bed at 8. I'll be up watching baseball.
Well, in other breaking news, Hannah Croak has beat Zelda. She just chimed in on the board. Congratulations. I have a hard time congratulating someone that spent. I don't want to say you've just wasted a ton of time. You've mastered something. Congrats. Yeah. You've beat something. I wish I had that kind of time on my hands. That's all I would say. So, congratulations, Hannah.
Well, you know what? You could have that much time.
I could rearrange priorities. I could do I could change up some productivity, and I could rearrange priorities, and it's my decision. I realize
I'm going
that.
to congratulate
Everyone's
you,
got,
Hannah. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Go get that
Hannah.
DLC on there, and then get yourself some Super Mario Odyssey. I'm starting to get. That's a great game. So I play it with my boy. We can play kind of 2 players, so we get to spend a little quality time that way.
Okay. So some people are quite impressed, and yes, good job. Is Zelda hard to beat? Someone asked.
I would say it's.
You beat it, right?
I did.
Good job to you as well.
Thank you.
I apologize for not recognizing your skill sets first.
Whatever. I mean, it's not too difficult. I'll say
Oh,
that. It's time.
That sounds like
it's
throwing some shade at
time-consuming.
Hannah now.
Not at all. It's time consuming. You need to dedicate yourself to going through this. And I mean, I would say it's not the hardest video game that I've played, but it is a great game.
All right. Any other holes you want to dig into?
No. But the DLC that I downloaded, the downloadable content,
Okay.
much harder. They've got like what they call a hero mode, and it's very, very difficult. And I haven't really had a chance to dig into it, and I don't know if I will, because that would take a lot. I mean, there's time spent where you enjoy playing a game, and it's not super difficult. And you can play through it and you enjoy it. Then there is, hey, let's get real, buddy, and let's make it extremely tough. You're gonna bust your ass doing this. You're probably gonna waste a lot more time, or enjoy a lot more time, as you want to say. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I ever get stuck on a deserted island with just my Switch and some sort of power supply. Maybe that's when I'll do it.
I'm going to make a plug. We're going to switch off game mode for just a moment. I'm going to make a plug. Again, if you're a live listener tonight, the only time that it's going to apply, so you're looking at about the next, 1 hour? My clock on here is 1 hour and 12 minutes is this relevant for. If you are coming to play or wish to play in my Cold Turkey PDGA C-Tier event, all online registration fees are waived. You still have to pay for the event. The online processing fee is waived. I'm literally losing money by you signing up right away because I'm paying for the processing fees out of pocket.
Oh, so I can sign up and then ask for my money back and really work you over? Just literally cost you money.
Yeah, that's what you could do. And I am very liberal when it comes to
You are.
registration refunds, unlike some, and everyone has their own way. I'm pretty liberal about refunding money, but if you are thinking about coming to play in my PDGA C-Tier Cold Turkey, number 12, that is taking place the Saturday right after Thanksgiving. All professionals and all advanced players play Saturday. All other divisions play Sunday. That is at the Gray Fox course in southeastern Wisconsin. Nate and Val were playing for the Skyline Classic earlier there this year. It's usually a pretty well-liked course.
Mm-hmm.
Trophy-only event. A pretty serious players pack, and then some trophies if you perform well in any of the non-professional divisions. Of course, normal 100% cash payout in the pro divisions. Anyway, that expires tonight at midnight. So you've got 1 hour and 11 minutes to take advantage of that. And then there's going to be a $5 processing fee to get signed up. 28 people have already signed up and taken advantage of it. So
that's great.
Just letting you know. And I'm going to call you out, Christy. You're only in Ohio. You travel. You play a lot. There's probably going to be a legitimate pro women's field.
Yeah, you usually.
I'm going to call you out. You're less than like 6 hours. You even gain an hour coming this direction.
Make it happen.
Coming from Ohio, I think you should come play. We're going to see probably at least a half dozen professional women signed up and playing. So I think you should come play.
I agree. All right, little PDGA news.
Yes.
The PDGA European Board of Directors officers has been appointed for 2017-2018.
I feel like that's old, no?
This was just announced. The Board of Directors was announced.
Oh, and it changed up.
It changed up.
It changed up for Europe as well, though.
Yes,
there was
for Europe. Well, we had the U.S. one. This is now Europe, Terry. They are a different country than us. Did you know that?
I heard.
I mean,
they're one of the 50 continents. I know. Plus Puerto Rico.
It's my favorite time. I get to slaughter some names. So President Katja Wickstrom, Vice President Seamus Scanlon, Treasurer Richard Kohler,
Smashy.
Richard Kohler, Secretary Natalie Holocaust.
Awesome.
So congratulations,
Yes.
all of you. Thank you. Maybe not congratulations, but a thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for dedicating your time to helping to advance the PDGA in all aspects, especially over in Europe there.
Yes. And I don't have all the specifics and the numbers in front of me, but listening in at the PDGA Summit a few weeks ago, Brian Henniger, Guru, one of our previous PDGA executives, directors, spoke of the growth that's taking place internationally, and just everything he was talking about was amazing. Of course, I won't even go into it all because I couldn't dare repeat it all. But it was very amazing when he was kind of going through his rundown. That's become his consultant type role moving forward, is that he works very closely with our international growth and development of the PDGA, and what him and his wife Lori continue to do and work with all these people. It's just it's great to see. So awesome to see that. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else major. Was it about this time last week? I think the ratings were maybe scheduled to come out on Tuesday. I feel like they were delayed a day. Does that sound about right? And then everybody got to lose their minds the following day. I don't know. I think that might have been the case. And I'm not sure when the next one will be. I know they slow down just slightly over the next few months, from what I recall. So we'll look for those as they come out. Somebody had asked, Chris Rodriguez, a supporter of work I've done, of work we do at Smashbox and of the Disc Golf Guy and women's coverage, El Guapo Baskets, says he can't find us on Facebook. Do we no longer stream the show directly to Facebook?
We've been having some problems. So the program we use.
Who's we? We've been having some problems?
That would be the server.
I do look over your shoulder, so I guess I count.
I know. Yeah, exactly. The server that we use to stream to Facebook, for some reason, and I'm not alone because I did a Google search on this, is having a problem going to Facebook. So what we do is we push out to a server that then distributes it to different locations, so that coming out of my house is only one single stream. It saves on bandwidth. I can stream to multiple locations from my house, but then each one takes up X amount of bandwidth. So I try not to do that. But they're still working on it. I know that hopefully there's going to come a fix for it in the next release, but I don't know when that is. So I'd like to get back to putting this out on Facebook as well. So as soon as that happens, cross my fingers, I hope soon.
All right.
But yes, we're currently not
also pushing to Facebook while we're doing this. Okay. I didn't know all of that, so thanks for asking out there, Chris.
Appreciate it.
And I wanted to send real quick, I couldn't dare pronounce his last name, but Michael R. From Canada has been working with me, and I showed you a little sneak peek. There's actually been an update. He's worked with me, and there's going to be a new, it could be a part of a new series, but there's a stamp that is going to be released to help support Disc Golf Guy vlogging efforts, and
I like it.
We had put it out. We had worked through it in the last few days. He's been great to work with. And there was finally a final version that you haven't seen, and I can't share it with everyone just yet, but there was a final version that's put together, and that will be going to a couple of different manufacturers, most likely, in the next day or two. So I think of opportunities. Some people say would like to support, and they may or may not be a Patreon member. Purchasing something like this disc, as I'm about to go to the PLO, or I'm kind of taking on these smaller projects that really have little or no budget. If somebody said, okay, hey, why don't I buy 1 or 2 or 10 of these discs, that would be a great way to help support specific efforts when I go to events. And so we'll be releasing that. I hope everyone enjoys the stamp as much as I do. Johnny and others. I saw Simon Lazat was online today, so I just clicked in and showed him one. He's like, I love it. I'd buy some of those. So
I think it's fun.
Simon approves, and Simon's always very supportive. But Zeppy offering up $20. As a saying Happy Halloween during our super chat. So we appreciate that, Zeppy. Thank you so much. And Disc Golf Nerd says, Terry, I need advice for my first event ever that he's running. How about we talk about that briefly? We're going to have an after show tonight. We're going to keep things a little on the shorter side. I think like the 19 hours we gave you last week should spill over.
Jeez, yeah.
We went.
People are probably still listening to it.
We went a little long last week, which hopefully you guys enjoyed. But well, that's a great topic to start off the after show. We're gonna have a giveaway in the after show, and then we'll of course field questions. That's where we interact with you guys most via the live show. However, if that doesn't go too long, we may wrap things up as Halloween's upon us, and we've both got some action that we're gonna be tending to. So, I think that's good for the regular show. I want to thank, of course, Dana Vicich. I'm not going to dare call him 4-putt Vichy, but Dynamite, we want to thank him for joining us as always. Keith Murray, a.k.a. Waldo, giving us some insights regarding next year's, the 2018 Memorial Championships presented by Discraft, along with the next generation information and the PLO that we're going to see this weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for supporting us and all the things that you guys are doing, and we look forward to seeing you more in the after show. So for Johnny and Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you in the after show where you can again step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxxTV After Show Halloween edition. It's still technically Halloween, which is, in a sense, a feat in itself. We're starting off the after show at just about 11 p.m. on Halloween night yet. Good stuff. Just a few moments ago, the Astros were defeated in the 6th game of the World Series. So they'll be playing a Game 7, and by the time most of you are listening to this, that will have been decided. Dare I ask, did you say you had a favorite, and/or do you have one that you want to win and one that you think will win?
Yes, exactly.
And are they different?
Yes. I mean,
you think the Dodgers will win, but you want the Astros.
Correct.
That was just a guess.
I think I said that. I might have even said that last week.
Well, now here we are, though. I mean,
yeah. So
now we're really getting down to it.
Yeah. For us, it's Game 6. Obviously, you guys are listening to this on Saturday, unless you're a Smashy Patreon supporter. But I said that I would like to see the Astros win because they used to be a National League team, and the Brewers are a National League team. And the funny thing is, the Brewers were an American League team that switched over to the National League. Astros were national that switched over to American. So I think that I just, for some reason, I think it's kind of cool. And the Astros have, as far as I know, never won a World Series. Houston in general is not a big championship city like LA. So
or New York.
To see Houston win, especially on the heels of having one of the probably worst years that they've had with all the flooding and this and that, I'm just kind of pulling for Houston. But I said before the series that I thought the Dodgers were going to win in 6. And now we're going to Game 7. It's been a crazy World Series. I'm really excited. I hope the Astros can pull it off now. That's all I got.
Okay. Disc Golf Nerd says he just sticks around to the end of the show to see if we thanked him or if I thank him for his segment, which I didn't. So thank you, Disc Golf Nerd. Johnny runs that control, which means you don't think process it in my head all the time.
You tend to run the interviews. I run most of the tech stuff. So maybe I should give a technical thank you at the end. I'd like to thank Vmix. I'd like to thank Charter. I'd like to thank Disc Golf Nerd. I'd love to thank Wowza.
Yeah.
And Intel.
Not Facebook right now.
No, not Facebook. And Intel.
And Intel.
NVIDIA as well. Thank you, NVIDIA, for your graphics
card. If we could only, we don't want to thank JVC, do we? Who were our camera?
We could, but
Sennheiser, some of our other microphones, sure. Okay, well, as we were closing out the show, I was again plugging the Cold Turkey 12 PDJC tier right after Thanksgiving. Huge player pack, all that stuff. But I think it was Disc Golf Nerd on the board had asked, and we did not thank Zeppy yet again, but thank you to all of our super chatters. If you want to know more about how a super chat works, just click on the little $sign. You enter whatever, like your social security number or your phone number into that column, and then from there, we automatically see and will read whatever it is that you post, barring a little bit of censorship on our end. So, Disc Golf Nerd, I believe, had asked, in fact, for some tips or pointers regarding running. I think you said your first ever. I don't know if it's sanctioned or not, but I think you said it was your first ever event. And that should be its own totally separate podcast for hours on end, which would be an interesting side podcast to host on any given night. Maybe even almost like a little forum. Could have one or two other TDs. I've run somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 or more events, sanctioned and non, throughout the last 20 years. I've run quite a few, and that's starting to dwindle. I don't do them all perfectly. I lack where a lot of people lack, which is the sponsorship. That's the toughest one. And for me, the least appealing. I love doing everything else. Usually challenged by trophy acquisition as well. But anyway, and sponsorship and trophy acquisition sometimes go hand in hand depending on who you work with. So that's there's a tip in itself. But yeah, if you're looking for, I guess, go ahead and give me any input that you have or questions specifically that you may have. Pre-registration, find anything you can to incentivize people to pre-register, and that's becoming more, we'll say,
more the norm.
More of the norm these days. But getting people to pre-register, years ago, I quit taking day of registration, and that has pissed off a couple people, and I don't care. I will no longer take day of registration. I don't care if I have 80% openings on my event come that day. Taking day of registration, usually I'm a 1 or 2 man crew at most events. It's just not worth it. The chaos that slackers then create for you to show up, if they can't commit to you literally 12 hours earlier, I'm not sure I want to cater to them.
You take Bitcoin?
That's a good idea. I will start taking Bitcoin. But pre-registration, I know people say, well, my event can hold 72 people, and if I only have 58 on Friday night, I don't want to turn people away the next day. Do it once, and people will learn. Most of them will learn. And then stick to your guns. Yeah, I cannot take... I can. I just don't want to. I don't think it's fair that I'm trying to check in, we'll say, 58 people that have shown you the courtesy and the professionalism and the wherewithal to get signed up, and then you're through checking in, we'll say 18 people, and then one guy's like, oh, I need to sign up. And it's like,
I think there's always exceptions to the rule. I would keep that open for certain divisions, like rec, like someone that
they get it together.
I get it, but if someone maybe who's rec is the lowest division, right? Or is novice?
Novice, technically.
Novice then. Novice, we'll say. I was confused. Rec to me makes it sound like it should be the lowest. But novice divisions. Those are people maybe that don't know anything about pre-reg, don't understand that. And I understand you have to, if you make an exception, blah blah blah. My personal thing would be like, oh, you're playing in the novice division. I get it. Show up, because odds are, if they're qualified to play in that particular division at that rating, they're not regular tournament players usually. So that's where I would probably make an exception. I wouldn't make, I know it sounds cruel, I wouldn't make an exception for juniors, because they probably have to come with their parents, usually. I wouldn't make an exception for other divisions. I'm just thinking that that lowest division is one of those things where it's like, you are a new player. I can kind of understand that. But I completely get where you're coming from. I've seen it. I've helped you out. I get it totally.
Well, and Scott Williams just said exactly how I was going to say to you. it's almost the exact opposite. It feels like a newer player that has any clue researches harder, digs around, tries to get all the information because they're not used to the scene.
Yeah.
It's truly not. That's why I would say I don't want an exception for them. It's more often you're more established players, you're sometimes advanced and/or you're professionals because they feel like, oh, I'm just going to show up and it's no big deal. They feel like it should be no big deal.
I understand.
It's not recs that are confused.
I understand. I'm just saying, if a rec or a person who showed up who is not a normal tournament player, and you're like, oh, you've never played one of my events, you don't have a PDGA number, this or that, sure, come on in, let me show you how it works, that type of person. I'm not talking like
I hear you.
Your series rec player that's like, this is my 5th rec event, and I'm looking to get the rec championship this year. That type of person, I would have less of a likelihood to make an exception. It's that new person that I would not want to turn away from a sport. Like somebody and their friends are like, yeah, we've never played. We heard about this event, so we showed up. Can we play?
And I agree with you.
That is where I'm going. With
in theory, that makes perfect sense, and I would agree with you. I just don't find that to be as common these days, which is great. And I'll go ahead and specifically address like the event I run in 3 weeks. It's almost winter. There could be snow on the ground. You don't have a lot of, we'll say, fly by night or just kind of random guys like, oh, I think I'm going to try this out. Usually, your players are a little bit more in the know if they're trying to play an event in the middle, or what's beginning of winter. I hear you. I understand. I think that would make sense for rec, but it's usually lazy pros.
I'm
think
with you.
The board would agree.
Or the people. Well, it's the pros. It's the pros that wait, and they're like, I'm going to wait because I want to see more people sign up.
Yeah,
like
Steve Held, we're calling you out. One of our best friends.
And they're like, well, there's only 4 pros, but yet there's 4 or 5 guys that are sitting there waiting to see more players show up, and then you close registration. And they're like, well, can I just show up day of? Or he's like, no, you can't. So,
Carver, you're exactly right. After running
a lot, you are jaded.
I'm very jaded. And I think that the requests that I've made and the things we've arrived at and the training we've done in a place like Wisconsin with 50-ish at PDGA events, I'm not jaded at Joe Rec, the guy that's never played a tournament. I'm not yelling or screaming or mad at them. We're yelling at one of our best friends who says really dumb shit like, oh, I'm going to wait, or why isn't anyone signing up for the tournament? Well, are you coming to play? Well, yeah, I'm going to play. Have you signed? No, well, I haven't signed up. Like, those are the dumb conversations that really get me
to be fair. He doesn't do that anymore because he plays Masters. Now he doesn't care how many people are in the division. He just wants to win.
That mentality, though, well, I'm going to wait to see who else signs up, even though I'm really planning on coming. And again, a lot of these people know throughout all these years that I'm very liberal with refunds. So sign up, and if you can't make it, I'll refund you.
As long as, for whatever, not whatever reason, but
give me, at least 12 or 24 hours advance notice. But it's a lot easier than calling me up and getting mad because I'm sold out. And then it's one of our pros. Well, to have like a ghost card. You could have 1-6 them out there. Have a ghost card. Add a 19th hole. I'll bring a basket. Like, it's funny how brilliant, and how many ideas the first person on the waiting list, how many ideas they have, and how many complaints they have to fix your tournament because they're first on the. You only allowed 35 pros? There's like 45 advanced players. Like, you should have only allowed like 44 or 40 and allowed more pros or whatever the case is. And I could go on and write a book about it. But
to be fair to everybody, Terry runs the events Terry runs are some of the most efficient and well-run events that I have ever attended. And that is because I'm a
little bitch.
You are a little bitch. That's because you know what you're doing. You get it done. We've been to events where you tap in your last putt at 4:45 and the awards don't get started until 7. We've been to those events, or 8. Or, like, because they think, oh, well, we've got everybody here. Let's do raffles now. And all I'm thinking is, no, I want my trophy, my prizes, my money. I don't want to sit through your raffles. I understand that they're there to raise money, and I get it. But you're not selling any more raffle tickets at this point. You're just buying time. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I've been to
They're
events
holding people hostage sometimes.
kind of. I've been to events from Terry's where the last putt drops at 445, and by 450, he's handing people trophies. Like, people aren't off the course yet, and like, oh, no, you won. Come here.
Get over here.
Get over here. I have a trophy for
Unless
you.
you triple bogeyed, you won. Get over here.
I'm just kind of surprised you're not just like following on UDisc and like at hole 17, like, dude, you got this wrapped up. Here you go.
Yeah.
Have fun.
I love to be efficient as I can be, and there's a lot of little ways that you can speed things up, and even tournaments as they're unfolding. There's different tournament styles in terms of, obviously moving out of and moving into a trophy only. There's a lot less stuff that needs to get figured out at that point, and that's not a reason why I did it. I did it for other reasons. But yeah, I'm big on the efficiency, and I feel like there's still ways that I could improve on certain things. But I like to have the scores posted. I love to have people turn around as quickly as possible, so you don't feel like things are dragging on and on and on, because there's nothing worse at a tournament than when that happens. So pre-registration, did we beat that one to death? Pre-registration, making sure you are familiar with the PDGA spreadsheet. If you're not, reach out to someone who is. If you're doing a sanctioned event, even if it's unsanctioned, and you could use that spreadsheet certainly as a resource and a tool that helps with player pack, and just getting familiar with that PDGA spreadsheet is huge. Again, I could do that spreadsheet now with my eyes closed, and I realize other people touch that spreadsheet once every 2 years, and it's much more daunting. And the PDGA is even working with some online resources that also came out of the summit a few weeks ago. But either way, getting familiar with that spreadsheet ahead of time before the event is happening is a huge resource and tool to you. Lining up whether what you're doing for players pack and or for payouts, those are critical. What is your lunch plan? Here's probably one of my favorite. This is absolutely a TD pro tip, maybe my most important one of the night. If you have a course, and I don't care if it's full or not, this probably still applies. If you can, and I know you can because you're the TD, shotgun start. Put your lesser skilled or lesser experienced players on the easier holes. Some, like at the course that I speak of, the front 9 is noticeably easier than the back 9.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a stretch of holes, wherever it is. Put your lesser skilled players on the easier holes to start. Spread them out on the easier holes. Put your more skilled players on the tougher holes to start. And here's why. That will help with the flow. I'm thinking of a course, all 5-somes, all 4-somes, 18 holes. Because if you start your lesser skilled players on the tough side of the course, they'll immediately be challenged and create instant backup.
Yeah, you don't want your better skilled players to play through those faster. You'd rather have your lesser skilled players play through those holes at a pace where maybe the better skilled players are going to play through the harder holes.
Correct. And at some point, someone's going to probably catch somebody, and there's always that hole or that section of the course. And it's funny because down to almost an exact science, I can tell you which group, depending on which hole I started them on, even if a full course is out there, which group is going to come in first, and usually which hole is going to come in last when they bring their cards in. And and that's somewhat knowing the course. But if there's a stretch of holes, if there's a stretch of easier holes, that's where you start your lesser skilled players. Trust me, that helps out considerably. It's always a nice gesture to put. Some people would consider a very nice gesture to maybe put some of your older players so they don't have as far of a walk. That's great if you can make that happen. If it disrupts the entire logic of what I just said, that it might be considered a nicety, but that's not always practical. Another thing, if you have, it's usually more challenging for women to use the restroom facilities depending on where they're placed. In a perfect world, I love to put the majority of my women competitors so that about halfway through the round is when they arrive at the restroom. Again, it's not a perfect science, and it doesn't always work. But if you can, having the women at about the halfway point, I feel like is a nice touch if you can make that happen. Speaking of that, you'd love to have as many bathrooms as possible. If you have 2 porta potties, it'd be great to have 10. If you have 10, it'd be great to have 20. If you have 0, make sure you get 1 or have something available. That's not possible in every single park, which can be a challenge in itself, though. So that's something to keep in mind. Those are some of my biggest ones that I can think of off the top of my head. And then just try and turn things around as quickly as possible. And that turnaround helps if you're on top of that PDGA spreadsheet, if you know what your expenses are, you know what you're taking out, you know what you're putting in, all of that kind of stuff. Have all that stuff taken care of during the first round or the second or the first round ideally, so that you can post a projected payout before the second round starts. It's a rule. So have all of that stuff up there.
Find one helper, at least. Have them sit with you when cards come in to help you count cards and double check cards. That is always, I think, very important.
It is.
It makes things flow. Even if you can bring somebody, great. If not, find the most friendly player you know there and just say, "Hey, dude, can you help me count cards?"
Well, or if someone's gonna,
or the person, you're right,
breathing over your neck,
the person breathing over your neck to find out what place they're in because they probably shot well. That's usually the only couple people that do that. Say you want to sit here and help. Sit down, start counting. That will get the scores up faster.
Yes, but that also may contradict my next suggestion, which is if you can, and you see a lot more tournaments continue to do this, and I've done this in the past, take your core staff, maybe that's that one person and yourself or 2 or 3 people, and if you can, pull yourself away from the congregation of people that continues to come in. Not only can you then concentrate, but also sometimes, and I'm not joking, sometimes you could have 20 people literally breathing down your neck because they're so concerned about what's going on. If you can find, whether it's a taped off area, which I love watching then players crawl over, but a taped off area, a roped area, whatever the case might be, if there's some somewhat secluded area where you can corner yourself in or pull away from the rest of the group, the rest of the competitors, that's a really good thing to have as well, because then you don't have as many people kind of breathing down your neck, asking you a million questions or asking all of the crew a million questions. And don't be afraid to either politely or violently tell the 1 or 2 schmucks that want to sit and rattle off whole numbers and scores, tell them to get away from the scoring tent.
Right. They don't need to recount their round by you.
I can't tell you how many people love to sit up by Tournament Central and say things like, whether they're talking to you or their buddy, yeah, on hole 4 I took a 5, and then like hole 5 I took a 6, and they're rehashing their round, usually in a negative way. They're rehashing their round, and you have 1 or 2 or 3 volunteers all trying to count up scorecards. I can't tell you how many people have been like, go talk anywhere but 3 feet from us about your numbers. It's going to get me all worked up. I do sound so jaded, but you pick up these things over
little things,
a few hundred events, but just step away from the table. Nope. First of all, nobody wants to hear about your bad round. Nobody. That's just an update.
That's not true.
Your
friend who shot better than you wants to hear about your crappy round.
Nobody wants to hear about your good round, your good or bad round. Probably. Very few people really care.
I disagree. I think your friend doesn't mind sitting listening after he shot better than you. Like,
I don't.
Like, oh, look at that. It depends on the type of person you come with.
Yeah, I guess, but just go somewhere else. And I'll say, I love to make that announcement that 5 minutes after or 2 minutes after that last card comes in, I usually get to bellow out to the crowd, hey, all your scores are online. So sit in your cars, go to the grocery store or the gas station or
yourself some lunch.
While you're doing that, it'll pop up. It'll be available to you. So that's something else that you can do. Someone had asked a few moments ago if I've ever made the suggestions of don't play in your own tournament. And I'm going to say it comes down to your skill sets. It comes down to the level of event. The general rule of thumb is always you will do a better job at the event and things will likely run smoother to either some degree or a large degree if you don't play in your own event. Absolutely. I don't think there's any disputing that. However, I was in a good position for a number of years where I would run an event. If I had everything secured and taken care of as best as I could ahead of time, I would then run out and play. Now, granted, my play is what I would let suffer. It was, the choice is, does the event suffer a little, or does your personal play? Usually it was my play, and I accepted that as a possibility. There's plenty of events where I walked out, my first throw of the day was the first shot on hole 1 or wherever I started, because I didn't get any warm up in, and I was okay with that. I wasn't concerned about my play. But yes, generically speaking, it's going to probably be best, unless you have a massive crowd of helpers, knowledgeable helpers, or you're just really finely tuned, it's going to probably be better to not play in your own event.
And I kind of think it's not always the case, but it feels like when you first start running events, you definitely shouldn't.
Correct.
Just because you don't have the thing done. The better you get at running events, the bigger your events are probably going to get, which is going to make it harder for you to do that.
Correct.
So, as a rule of thumb, probably not the best idea. Now, if you're really good at running events, and it's, for whatever reason, you're running a really small event, no issues, I think. But, again, it kind of goes with the better you are at running it, the more likely you are to take on more, the harder it's going to be to do.
Yeah, and again, that's going to come down to an individual. I remember the few times, usually at much smaller events, if I were to run an event and then possibly perform well or win it, some people, I think very unfairly, would get super pissed about it. It's like, I played by all the rules, I practiced less, and I had a million more things going on in my head, but I guess you could get all pissy if I happened to win too, but those were way back in some glory years, 10 years ago. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And Christy on the board says, when you have a state coordinator like Ken Rollins, or you have an assistant TD who also knows what's going on, or someone that's just not interested in playing at all, and they're doing a lion's share of the work while you're playing, it's gonna be on a case by case basis. But you clearly want the event to run smoothly, and there again, that goes with maybe starting yourself on the hole that's going to also get done first, assuming you're not breaking any other rules or protocol there. It's not a bad idea. Like, I know on a particular course, like I said, what hole will get done first. If I were to play, I would want to be on that hole simply so I could get back to Tournament Central. Now, second round, I may not have that choice, but first round, I want to get back to Tournament Central and make sure that things are up and running as best as I can. I don't know if anyone else has any specifics on the board asking about tournament tips or tricks. Those are a lot of the things that I've acquired throughout the years. Trophies are always a tough one. How many do you get for what divisions? Depends when you sell out. I mean, so many of the efficiencies that come from a tournament director, and this is why I always say pre-register so I can make a better tournament for you. I know exactly how many trophies to order, and I can order them in time. I know exactly what shirt sizes, because if my event is sold out 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in advance, you have that information. Then you can correctly order the right amount of shirt sizes. I want to order SmashBox hoodies potentially to give away at this event, and I'm going to maybe take some form of guessing at the exact quantities. And I don't want to order 300 for 100 people, but if you're the last to check in on a certain day,
you get what
you might become a schmedium instead of the XL you needed. So that's where pre-registration happens and is so helpful. So and
that's your Jaded TD podcast.
Exactly. And the other quick one, and it was brought in on the board, so it's a great conversation or to add to it to wrap up, is maybe before running a PDGA sanctioned event, there's some great tester events. Obviously, there's a league, which sometimes can be as many people, but a little more casual atmosphere. Help or run a league night or two, or an entire league for a 10-week series or whatever. So league nights is a great way to test the waters with the general.
Volunteer at another tournament.
Volunteer at another tournament is another one. And then maybe take on or help or host yourself one of these slightly lesser pressure events. your trilogy challenges, your par twos by Prodigy, your ace races by Discraft, your all of those various lesser pressured events. Those are all great to just get your feet wet in the tournament directing realm. So
yeah, I think a trilogy. Disc Golf Nerd says he's strongly considering a trilogy challenge. I think that's a really good way to go for a first event because they send you packages. It's relatively easy to run. There's not a huge amount of stuff to do. Now, where I will disagree with somebody is Dad's Drunk, who says ditch players packs. Put it all in payout and free lunch. You are treading a fine line there. You are not going to make everybody happy ever.
For starters.
But players packs A, if you have pre-reg, they're very easy to set up. You can have them all pre-made. You could have, like Terry does sometimes, just piles of discs laying out. Say, hey, take one of those, and walk away. You're going to please more people that way because if I show up to an event and I'm Joe Amateur and I say, wow, just for playing, I get 2 discs and a hat. That's awesome. And then the winner maybe gets 2 more discs. Who knows? But instead, if you say, oh, yeah, Joe Amateur who shows up and doesn't get anything, doesn't win, doesn't place, whatever, but I watch Joe Amateur winner take home 7 discs, I don't know if I might come back to that event.
Well,
I like the idea of a players pack personally.
Socialist.
A little bit. I just think it pleases more people, especially in those types of divisions. The smaller divisions, I would rather see more people come away with stuff than large. Advanced, flip a coin there. I think that they're closer to pros in that they care more about winning and points and what they're getting out of it. That if they're in the advanced division and they're not cashing, odds are they've run through the ranks lower up where you've fed them with these other ones. I think players packs for smaller, or we'll say lower divisions and upper divisions, not so much players pack.
Well, Christy summarizes it perfectly by saying people in the top want payout, people on the bottom want players pack. And so I have polled this question. I have watched others poll this question. It is about a 49 to 51% on any given weekend, one way or another, as to do you want a big players pack and no payout, or do you want no players pack and a big payout? And I'm telling you, just flip a coin because that's if you polled 100 people, it will probably come out about 49 or to 51 or 50-50 or 46-54, whatever. There's not a consensus. There's just not.
Agreed, which is why I think, and it's hard because you split divisions and you run into things like that. I like it when your novice, your rec, when they get the players packs because they are not going to have most advanced, and I guess
I'm waiting for a generalization here.
A lot of advanced players have a stash of discs that they're already using, which is why they're playing well because their game is becoming more consistent. They've probably already run through the lower ranks. The lower ranked players, as in your amateur and rec players, they might not be sitting on a stash of 100 discs. They might not, and getting that. And like Alan Risley on the board says, you can only have so many dry fits. I understand that, which, again, those are something I like to see handed out to the newer players, not so much your advanced and your pro and things like that. Because I'll tell you right now, no pro wants a player's pack. 0. There's not one pro in my general discussion here that wants a player. Even me, who might play pro, and I know I'm not going to cash these days, I still don't want a player's pack. I don't mind. It's like, oh, good, I got a disc. Thank you. Odds are I'm not going to throw whatever disc you happen to give me for whatever reason. There might be a chance, but very rarely do I hear pros say that they want players packs.
No, the only pros that would want players packs is when that player pack is not being accounted for in the payout.
Of course.
If somebody said, hey, we're going to give you a great Tempercraft bottle, or we're going to give you an umbrella or something else of use, then a pro would be like, sure, as long as it's not coming out.
Of course.
A free one. But you're right. No pro says, hey, why don't you take
And-
out $25 and then give me an umbrella? No pro would
And
ever
those-
want that.
And I'll say that if you're going to do a players pack for a pro, don't make it a disc. Try to come up with a unique idea, like the temper craft, like an umbrella, I was gonna say even a
Lightweight Smashbox hoodie.
lightweight Smashbox hoodie, Smashbox lightweight thong.
The thong, the thong, thong, thong.
Thong.
If we get those, we'll wear those on the show.
Yeah. No,
If I order them, not if you guys send us one.
no.
Because I know somebody's thinking, I'm going to send them one just so they have to wear it. No, I'd have to make them up. Yeah, and again, on the board, John Peters has said, a lot of times you get a disc you don't like and or a bunch of stuff you don't like.
I'm not.
I'll just say, first of all, that could be you. And secondly, you could say the same, though, even when there's a payout.
Mhm.
If I, for instance, had all Innova at an event, the first thing complaints can be, I throw Trilogy, I throw DD Lat, I throw Westside, whatever. I throw MVP. No matter who you primarily have, and
Mhm.
even if you have a huge selection, which I've had thousands of discs at an event, somebody still walks away. You don't have any
You
of the
sold out of you sold out of the destroyer that I wanted. Well, yeah, there was only 6 of them, and you're the 12th person in line to cash in your money, your funny money. Sorry, yeah, that stinks. There's nothing here that you want now. But again, that's why it's those lower divisions. I hate to be mean, but they should be happy with what they get, whether they throw it or not, because it gives them an experience. Because they might not throw those as an advanced or open player. They're very rarely do you see them pick up a brand new piece of plastic and be like, this is awesome. I never would have thought to throw this. They're usually more set in their ways with the plastic they have.
All right, so there you go. There's a recap on player pack and tournament directing. I do feel like that would be a fun side podcast that could be had, whether it's just a straight up question and answer session or a way for everybody to chime in. And if, speaking of just that, if you're interested in something of those along those lines in person, the International Disc Golf Center is hosting the Directors Cup. So, and that's maybe even next weekend, the 11th and 12th weekend. If you wanted to go down to Georgia and you wanted to not only play an event, but then have breakout sessions, I think you play 1 round of golf a day and then have breakout sessions that talk about a lot of things we just talked about. That is something that you can do as well. I'm guessing to actually attend the sessions is probably free or close to it, or the event is free, or it's all free, or very low cost. That's all taking place. I think that's an initiative that travels or could travel to various regions around the country. And this year, because I think it happened a couple years ago at Crown Point, Indiana, in the Midwest, and then this year I think it's taking place down at the International Disc Golf Center. So if you're really looking to learn more, that would be something else you should be looking into as well. So I want to say there's like 70 or 80 people already registered. I was actually just looking at it because I think it would be fun to attend. So if you want tips and tricks and pointers, that might be something great to attend as well. All right. I think we've beat it to death. I hope that's everything you need to know. Lots of other information coming in on the board. But if anyone else has any other topics that we need to cover or would like us to cover, we would be glad to do so. We're here in the show. So if you want to follow along and interact and ask questions of us directly, your best bet is to log on to the YouTube chat session, and you can do just that.
Let's do our weekly giveaway
And
our Patreons. So if you, as always, this is where we give something away every week in the after show to our patrons. If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
all right, or along the lines, or we'll say along the lines of lightweight hoodies. A few years ago, in working with Legacy for a particular event, I had some lightweight hoodies made up. These were actually a player's pack item at one point, and then they went over very well, so I had more ordered, and I have a few left. I have a few different sizes, and thanks to our friends over at Legacy, a reminder came up today. One of my favorite Halloween, probably my favorite Halloween ever, would have to be the one I spent with the guys from Legacy 2 years ago to the day. Halloween Classic was going on, and had a really good time out in Vegas. To be in Vegas on Halloween night and that Halloween weekend was one that I shall never forget.
Which is where they are
last weekend.
So,
with all that being said, I thought, hey, I think a Legacy hoodie, lightweight hoodie, might be a great giveaway. So you actually have two options depending on what you really want. I have a couple of different lightweight hoodies, or I have a, as seen by AJ Risley, I had to pull it back out today, an Inside the Circle Legacy t-shirt. So this is a super lightweight 60-40 cotton blend. So one of the super soft tees. I'm a hardcore believer in the super soft tees. I don't buy 100% cotton anymore, and I'm over dry fit. So I like the ones that are right in between. So that's what this is. I have one of these with black in large. If that's not what you want, well, I should say that's an option. Or if you choose a lightweight hoodie, I have a few different sizes of those that remain. So
okay, giving away.
I'm going to show you what this
hoodie.
looks like.
Oh, that's nice. Seriously.
Also super soft. Kind of feels like a long sleeve t-shirt with a hood. And I have one in blue. There was two different colors. I've got a medium in blue. I've got a large gray. I think I've got a double XL in gray.
Ooh, that's
I don't know if I have any XLs left. I'll take a look if that ends up being the size you need. I'll admit this, they run a tad small. I feel that, or I'm a tad big.
And I was just thinking, I don't normally wear a double XL, but I was thinking for length. I like XLTs usually.
So reach out to me, whoever a winner is. I want to know what you want. You've got a shirt from Legacy or a lightweight hoodie. And again, I think if you like these, this may be something similar to what you see with a SmashBoxx option in a few weeks as well. So, Johnny.
All right. I hit the random number generator. It was number 61.
61.
Sort it up and down. It is Paul Andrew Webster from
Arkansas,
Sherwood, Arkansas.
All right.
Congratulations, Paul Andrew Webster, on your new little hoodie.
Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoy, and it'll help you play with confidence.
Exactly. So what a perfect way to tie it all together. Halloween, great Halloween memories. Our friends over at Legacy. Yeah, glad to do so. So Paul Andrew Webster. Danny Lindell says, I know that guy. Well, of course you know him. He's in Arkansas. You know,
there's
everybody?
like 4 of you.
Carver G is a $2 super chat member. Thank you, Carver, for
very much, Carver.
the recent super chat. He says, SmashBoxx is the
Shizzo. My daughter has come to dropping F-bombs. It's great.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Sweet.
she's 5.
Uh-huh.
And it's my fault. Did I tell the story last week? How
I don't think so.
I slammed on my brakes because somebody was edging out of the intersection, and then they stopped when they could have gone, and I didn't expect them to stop, so I slammed my brakes, and then I basically said, what the I dropped the F-bomb.
February?
What the February? And then I looked behind me, I was like, oh God, that's right, my daughter's in the car. She usually doesn't pay attention or repeat anything I say. No big deal. Very next day, I get a call from my wife in the morning. She's dropping my daughter off for school because we switch it up. And she calls me, and their very first words were, what the And I was like, huh?
Oh, so blame her.
And she said, that's what your daughter just said to me when I slammed on when she stopped at a stop sign. And I was like, oh, well, yep, whoops, that's on me.
Sounds
and I explained the situation. For the past week, almost anytime we stop at a stop sign, just stop the car. She stopped actually using the entire word. Now she just goes, what the just like that.
All right. Then it's cute.
It's kind of cute at this point. But for the first 2 or 3 days, she was dropping the entire, and she would like emphasize that last word. And I kind of started to feel bad. I'm like, and she's very methodical. So I don't think she's going to say it other places, only in the car.
Just don't. So here's what I would say. It could be a long night if you were driving, say, through rush hour traffic in Chicago.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of what the F as you guys are stopping every 28 feet.
Yeah, and I have a problem because I don't say it very often, but sometimes I just go, what the? and she likes to finish it off for me.
There you go.
Because she's done that a couple times. And I say just because I stop myself and I think, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with saying that, except when she knows the rest of the sentence now and can complete the.
Now she's just helping you out.
Now she's just helping me out.
I just can't wait for you to say, what the F, and she just blurts it out as loudly as she can.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's so cute for a 5-year-old.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a father of the year. Did you end up ever watching the first season of Stranger Things?
No, it was funny because, sorry,
I know you. I thought you kind of started watching it, and then you.
No, I didn't.
I know we talked about it. I think you'd enjoy it. It's good.
That was going to be the follow-up was, did you say I would or wouldn't enjoy it?
I said
there's so
think
much
you would.
chatter going around about the second season.
I think you would enjoy it.
Okay.
And the second season was very good as well. As my wife and I
binge watched it, as everyone sounds like everyone did. Yep.
3 episodes on Friday when it came out. No, 4 episodes on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and then 2 on Sunday, I believe is what we went. So, just got through 9 episodes. And
okay, that doesn't sound like a lot. Are they hour or 48 minutes?
Anywhere from, they're anywhere, honestly, because it's Netflix, anywhere from like 46 to 56 minutes. Depends on what they needed to show. But it was really good. So I highly recommend anyone, if you enjoyed the first season, go check it out. If you haven't seen the first season, please go watch the first season. I saw someone post something on Twitter. It's about these 4 kids. It's very E.T./Stand By Me-ish kind of thing. It's that generic 80s Amblin Entertainment feeling you get out of it. And somebody on Twitter had said, no way, there's no way that this is real. Clearly it's not. Because there's no way your parents would ever let you stay out that long, because these kids are gone for like a day or a day and a half at a time, and they're like 13. And all I was thinking is like, yeah, back then that wasn't a big issue. Like even tonight, my boy's in 3rd grade. He's 8 years old. I would have been fine with just sending him out trick or treating. Like you stay in the 3-block area and go. But the other parents were very much like, no, we have to go with our kids and this and that. I'm just like, no. I literally looked at one of the moms and said, no. If you want to be out there, that's great. They're all going to go in a pack anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 6 of these kids. Let them go. Let them be kids.
Yeah.
And this was nighttime trick or treating, just like I did as a kid. And it's very popular. I've got 3 different friends who have kids now that gave these kids these watches that allow them. It's basically an Android watch. It's like $10 a month on your cell phone bill. It lets them store 4 phone numbers, and they can call by dialing on their wristwatch. It comes a cellular plan, all this other stuff. It doesn't do anything else. No social media. It's literally just calling, or I think maybe messages as well. You can message it back and forth. And it's got GPS tracker in it as well. And so they were like, well, we got it for our kids so they can ride around the neighborhood. And I'm like, you people are like, I feel that they hover over their kids too much. I'm kind of along the lines of, go, do your thing. Don't die.
Yeah, get kidnapped.
Yeah. Don't. And that's what one of the parents said, like, what about kidnappers?
Who kidnaps anymore?
I said, I read a statistic, and I think it was 2015, or maybe it was 2014. There was, in all of the United States, like 114 kidnappings.
Oh my gosh. That's it.
Yeah. And those were by strangers. Now, there's a ton more if you include family members. Like father or a mother taking the kid. But like actual stranger kidnappings, like 114. And I was like, that's like the statistical odds of that are so slim.
Yeah.
I'm willing to risk my kid.
Well.
Oh, here's a great question. Tell me if this is inappropriate or not.
I feel like we should have a whole segment. I think we've even talked about that, but we should have a segment.
I saw a picture of a kid in my son's class. This was his Halloween costume. He wore an orange mask, almost like a hockey mask or something, but it wasn't hockey. It was just like orange. And I think this is so funny and bad. His costume was a van. And when someone asked what he was a kidnapper. He's 8 years old. What kind of parent lets their kid go as a kidnapper? And if someone had told me this, I wouldn't have believed them. I saw the class picture with the kid and the orange mask and the van costume.
I would think a regular ski mask would be the way to go, but
Well, I would think so too. But
I'm just saying,
like
if I were a kidnapper,
I do,
that is interesting that somebody
Hey.
be like, yeah, sweetie,
you, as 8-year-old, you can go as a kidnapper.
you should go as a kidnapper. It is kind of funny.
I was almost in tears laughing because these other parents, and I guess I was slightly offended, like, how as a parent would you let your kid go as this? But yet I also see the extreme humor in it.
I feel like it's is this twisted that I feel it's funnier if you were an adult?
Yes,
Like-
no, and that's what I said. I said it would be, that's a funny costume
Yeah,
if you're like 20 to 25 and going out to a bar.
or 20 to 70,
Or-
any age, any adult age.
I was thinking it's less funny, I think, when you're a parent. It becomes a little weird. Like as when you have kids of your own. I think that's a funny costume for like I said, a 21 to 26-year-old guy or girl that's going out to the bars and wants to make a ha funny splash. Not so much any other time. But
Yeah, it's definitely an odd costume that an 8-year-old would want. Carver G, I wonder if anyone was Harvey Weinstein. I'm sure there were, and if they weren't, I'm sure people acted like they were.
it's Halloween. I mean, really.
Dad's Drunk said, thoughts on parents dressing up for the trick-or-treat walk? And I said, I'm good with that. If somebody wants to get into it, I've got no problem with that. I think it's...
Yeah, I'm okay.
I walked with my kids this year to... walked around a couple different neighborhoods, and when the door opened and it was someone in costume, I thought, good on them. Like, there's no reason why they can't partake.
Yeah.
Good on them. I mean, I saw a woman, 40s or 50s-ish, she was fully decked out, head to toe, fully committed to the Wonder Woman costume, and I thought, that's awesome. Like, yeah, I've got no problem with that. I saw a lot of parents walking around that were in costume as well when they were with their kids. I don't think anything of it. I think it's great. No problem with that whatsoever. Terry knows what he's dressing up as next year. Dad Drunk says, we had a group of dads dressed as F Society members tonight.
Oh,
Hashtag
nice.
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot.
Okay. Depends on the parent and the costume. Did you see... I was going to say any tasteless costumes.
No, because all my costume consumption, so to speak, was all of about 10 minutes when I walked my daughter, who is 5, up and down the street one time before she's like, I'm done. I'm like, okay, sweet, cool, let's go back and I can drink. And handing out some candy to the occasional kid that showed up at my friend's house where we were celebrating tonight. I didn't see anything. I traditionally think of that type of stuff more so when you're younger and maybe out at a bar and things like that, where you look at someone and go, really? That's what you went as?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Tom Shufflebottom Fitness has best costumes that Terry and Johnny V have ever worn.
My favorite costume of yours was Bad MTV.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say that.
When we went to a house party on the Marquette University campus, we were probably 23, 24.
No.
Not quite that.
Because I still worked at CS. I still worked at where I interned, and so
22, 23?
Yeah, 21,
yeah,
22.
You're right, because I think we graduated from college at 21,
Yep.
22-ish. 22. And then it was like right as we were getting out of college. So, yes, so Terry...
Because I came in rough to work the next day.
Oh, yeah.
At that job.
And
Anyway.
I don't remember what I was that year, but I do remember you, like, we're struggling for a costume and then just decided, I'm going to put this box on my head and draw like an MTV logo on it. Because at the time, the commercials, if you look it up there on YouTube, I'm sure, was Bad MTV. And it was like a person was like, oh, Bad MTV, how dare you?
Yep.
And you went as that.
And what I'll say to follow that up and to answer, Johnny V and I both, not artistically inclined in any capacity. And that's why maybe I say I like when I see the other adults dressing up. I love the originality for some. I love how committed they, some people pull off costumes so well and fully sell it. And I envy that. I've never had an original or unique costume. If I did or would, we'd be wearing them. I'm just unfortunately I've never committed as an adult to a full-blown good Halloween costume. And I feel a little empty inside. I've thought about this over the last few days. I really feel like I'm
Missed out on.
I'm missing out, and I'm not too old to do it still, to still have a good adult costume, but I've never really been fully committed to a really, really good adult costume, and I feel like I should.
I wore a very adult costume in college.
Yeah, that is true. One day I will. That'll be a throwback somewhere.
Ooh.
It would be best to bring it out this week. You've been a French maid.
I've been a French maid. I have. And
Who was a cow that year?
uh,
TK maybe? No,
yeah, I think it was
one of our college.
one of our college friends. I think it might have been Tim.
Yeah,
Been TK.
okay.
Yeah. So a friend of ours was dating one of the RAs, and she was this tiny little petite girl, and she had a French maid outfit. And there was a joke before Halloween as to whether or not I could fit into the costume, because she was all of 5'4", maybe. She was small.
Mm-hmm.
And so sure enough, I was able to get the costume on and fit into it. And so at that point, then I decided that it would be my Halloween costume. And
Yes.
and I went to numerous house parties with the full fishnets, the maid outfit. I had to wear a t-shirt underneath just because of the way it fit, but that was one of my more fun Halloween costumes. I won the Star Wars trilogy, original Star Wars trilogy, on VHS at a dance club that night. And other than that, I really liked my Legend of Zelda costume that my wife made me before we were married.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my more enjoyable ones. But otherwise, it was the French maid outfit. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will. You will. Our Smashies will, of course, see that
At some point, yes.
sometime or another. As I have literally hundreds, if not thousands, of photos before the days of the digital camera, when I used to go through rolls and rolls of film, with 18 out of the 24 pictures, by today's standards, definitely being garbage, but about 6 solid pictures throughout the entire roll. I spent thousands of dollars, and I wish I had a clue what I was doing when I was taking photos, but I like to snap a lot of photos back in those days, so you will see some of those at some time.
Oh, there it is. Should I show it?
Of course.
All right. It's the one thing that's great about Google Photos is you just type in, they look at your photo. So I just literally typed in French maid, and that's what came up.
Wow.
So,
all right, folks, this is a very special showing. I'm thinking of another photo of you wearing it when we were surrounded by more people.
There's a different one.
There's a few different versions, but this was back. This was early, because this was actually
this was when I originally tried it on, because that's her room.
I was going to say, because that is not our room,
Nope.
which was where we frequently gathered for some college freshman and sophomore activities.
Hold on a second. I do need to grab. I need to quickly set up the shot, because
yes, Alan, I used to
it.
shoot plenty of rolls of film and then take it in. That's when I became a Sam's Club member, because Sam's Club offered usually 2-for-1 film developing. So you'd go in there, or if it wasn't 2-for-1, it was incredibly inexpensive. So I'd bring in anywhere from 1 to 4 rolls of film almost after every weekend of traveling and playing disc golf or college activities. And I'd bring it in, and then they would process it. And I always got doubles of every single roll that I had processed. And that's when yes, this isn't too bad. You guys will be prepared for this. Again, there's one, this is appropriate, I guess one could say. But yes, Eddie, you definitely want to get ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this jelly. Maybe another way to word that.
Definitely not. Okay, this is the shot that I need right here. Okay, so
here it is.
Here it is.
With our volume?
With our volume. Everyone can see it.
Beautiful. There is Johnny V.
That is me in...
Those legs just keep going and going.
I don't know if I don't think I can... Oh, yeah, I can zoom in a little bit. So, yeah, that is when I initially... You can see I had to take the shoes off and whatever khakis I was wearing for work. those Airwalks were some of my favorite shoes. Yeah, that is me. I might even still have that polo.
I think you do. That is a 1998 Amateur World Championships green Am Worlds polo that he is sporting, which I'm sure he does still, in fact, have. Made by Jerseys, the one and only polo manufacturer on the planet, I think, at the time that you could customize. And that is, there's Johnny
That's
V.
a lot of creep.
Plenty of it. So there you go.
The face of a younger man, much younger, different style, different glasses, all that fun stuff. And I was very,
committed?
I was very committed. I wore that out to house parties. I had one of the basketball players whistle at me from behind, not realizing it was a guy.
Yeah.
Because I remember turning around and all his buddies were like, "Oh, dude, you just whistled at a dude." I chuckled and walked out of the dorms because we were on our way to a house party.
So sought after.
Which we did a lot of partying back then.
Yeah, so there you have it.
Chris says, zoom out.
I'm not sure there's I think that's a good way to end this
Carver,
show.
there's screenshot. I think I've posted that on Facebook before. It's not like it's a huge surprise.
Yeah.
But yes, there's plenty. We've had our fair share of fun. I can think of 3 to 4 different times I've dressed up as a woman.
Yeah,
that's around.
That's another podcast. We'll just end that there. That's enough of that podcast. Yes. So it's out there. It's available. And again, I'm sure there's one that's just a little bit more festive. Of course, you wearing that outfit, but then a handful of people dressed up, and it was a really good group photo that I'm thinking of specifically that someday I'll make sure to dig out. So unless you guys have anything else, we're going to go ahead and cut things here. It's still a 3-hour podcast when it was all said and done. But like I said, unless you guys have anything else that we need to address, I think it's been a pretty solid night. We got lots of good information out there. Hopefully you listened in or have by now listened to what we found out about the memorial, a few major changes taking place. If you're not already registered, maybe you're on the list or going to be on the list here soon. My other a quick question that I had as I was looking at some of our numbers during our after show. What's the percentage of people that will say download both? Is there a drop off on after show numbers? And I don't need to know the exact numbers.
There is. I don't know what it is, but there's. I look at the
75% retention.
60 to 70%.
10.
I think retained. There's a lot of people that just tune in for us to get the disc golf news, hear the interview, whatnot. And then there's people that are like, oh, sometimes they have valuable information, like the TD talk we had. And sometimes they're talking about stupid Halloween costumes.
Yeah. I was just curious as to how those numbers look. So the late after show. All right, guys. Best Halloween candy. Okay, that's a good one to end on. Best candy. How about or just favorite candy, which probably appears sometime during the Halloween. Maybe not, I guess. But what would you? What's your favorite? What's your go-to candy?
Go-to Halloween candy, we'll say, Reese's.
I figured you'd say that.
Yeah, you can't. It's also one of my favorite snacks when we used to go on trips. Usually buy like a king size.
You never see them given away, so I can't say caramello. Those are all but never given away, I don't think, in Halloween, which makes sense. Those are one of my favorite candies. If I have one, pick of a choice. But I would say favorite candy that commonly you've seen given out at Halloween time, very underrated from what I gather. I would have to say 100 grand. That's personally.
Chris Cobb nailed it. That 100 grand.
Yeah. I mean, and I love Reese's peanut butter cups, but 100 grand. You've never heard of caramello? Are you kidding, Dad's drunk?
It's not like it's regional, so go look it up. Caramello.
I'm fighting words.
They're good.
If you mixed a caramello with a Crunch bar, you'd have 100 grand. I think that's pretty fair.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. So, yeah, come on. Yeah, don't even. Almond Joys, that's disgusting.
Tom Shufflebaum, yes.
Yes, Chris, ban Dad's drunk for saying such blasphemy.
One of my friends who decided this year he was going to give away full-size candy bars. And he lives in a smaller neighborhood, so he has less of them. Sure. He said...
Clearly more than disc golf rich, too.
Yeah. He said, Almond Joys and Mounds are equally as good. And I said, I'll fix that for you. They're equally as bad.
horrible. Yeah.
They are not. Those are not good candy bars, in my opinion.
Come on.
No.
That's where was I?
These bars are all right.
Just this past weekend, who was having a Heath bar, and I was just blown away by the fact that was that Todd Dodge? Where was I? Somebody bought a Heath. Was it Todd?
I think it's funny. I would never buy a Heath bar.
Thank you. That's what I said.
But I like them in ice cream. Like if someone
Sure.
said, "Hey, there's some Heath ice cream," I'd be like, "Oh, that sounds delicious." But I would never go out and buy a Heath bar for some reason.
Who in the world just bought one? Now it's going to drive me crazy. But I was like, you bought a Heath bar?
Of all the candy bars, you bought that one.
I think it was Todd
Maybe it was
Dodge
Todd
comes to
Dodge.
mind, and I could not believe it. I'm like, you're the one person, seriously? Like, I've never witnessed someone buying a Heath bar,
On purpose.
and sure enough, he had one. And so
Yeah.
that's how messed up Steve Dodge's brother is.
Oh, poor guy.
To buy a Heath bar. It was crazy.
Carver G, you're the guy who gives out healthy treats. The house I was at, we were all drinking hot cider with Fireball alcohol. Very good. But they had 2 bowls. They had the candy bowl, and then they had the healthy bowl, which had like treats and I think bags of nuts and things like that. Nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted the healthy treats. That bowl wasn't touched.
Yeah, no surprise.
No, like.
But it's great to give options.
It is. I mean, because there are kids who have
Sure.
nut allergies or kids who have who just want healthy choices, things like that. My son won't drink soda for the life of him; just won't touch it. But he likes a little bit of candy. But he's not a sweet tooth kid. So, but he still was pumped that he filled up his bag full of candy when we still have candy from last year.
Exactly. I'm gonna give out some apples.
My mic might be cutting out. It might be that I was just not facing the mic. I'm sorry about that, DGN.
All right, Dad's Drunk said, Terry, like I said earlier, I tried to buy you a beer at the end of the finale, but you disappeared fast right after I saw you when I was at the bar. Yeah, we 3 of us all had flights at 8 o'clock, and 8:01 on a different airline. So the 3 of us on-site Smashbox crew people, we pretty much bolted, plus everything was wet. We were wet, everyone was wet, and just had to get packed up. We rushed back to a house to take a quick shower, not together, all back to rushed into the airport, returned the rental car so we could just catch our flight. So I appreciate, I guess they say it's the thought that counts, even if I didn't get drunk. But we do appreciate it. Next time, I'll gladly take you up on it. So we're going to wrap it up. It's officially no longer Halloween where we're at, and it is now November, which is a scary thought just in itself. And just less than 4 months away before the memorial kicks back off, which is going to be awesome. So for Johnny V and myself, Mr. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup and 100 Grand, thank you guys for tuning into the after show. Thanks for the regular show. Thank you, Disc Golf Nerd, for your review during the regular show. Thank you to all of our Smashies. We love you guys. We appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. I think Dave Felberg might be joining us, and we'll have some other special guests from there. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.